5, 4, 3,
or
2.
already. Could be. So, for those who are watching and who are new here, this is a Nintendo podcast we do every Sunday night, usually at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah. So, that'll work. For those who are watching, we're good now. Okay. So, welcome everyone. This is On Just Restart. I'm joined by the Yellow Kazoo, who is linked in the description below, as well as Brandon from WhataboutNintendo, who's also linked in the description below. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. So, it is now time to talk about a whole bunch of things. We talk about Nintendo every week, but this week there's quite a bit to talk about. Like a lot. So, this week we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Direct rumor. We already talked about it last week to some extent, but now we're talking a little bit more about it because there is a date being associated when we could see this apparent Direct, which is July 20th. So we're going to be talking about the plausibility of that. We're also going to be getting into a statement from Nintendo about their next-gen system. So we'll be talking about that as well. But also we'll be diving into two different controversies this week. One that happened earlier in the week regarding a Spanish podcast, a Nintendo podcast that brought in two Breath of the Wild voice actors, and they mentioned Breath of the Wild 2, and there was a whole bunch of fake news and information going on around that and potential hints and teases, so that was really cool but also exciting. And then we're also going to be talking about this Bakugan controversy, a franchise I know very little about, but it was the big third-party reveal during the Paper Mario Treehouse, and a lot of people didn't like it. And I guess we're also going to talk about Paper Mario and whatever else you guys bring up in the chat. So there's a lot. I know actually also Suda51 is continually teasing No More Heroes 3. So we have a lot to talk about tonight. I'm not even sure where to start. How about you guys tell me how you guys doing? That might be a good place to get things going.
I'm pretty good. I'm just tweeting this out.
Like and share, guys. That would be appreciated.
Yes, everybody should also tweet this out. Tweet this out on your Twitter accounts, guys. I'm doing good. Today I just had an event type of thing that I shot today at for one of my volunteer organizations.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I streamed. So what about you? What about you guys?
Well, yesterday I went to my brother's wedding. That's
cool.
It
wasn't cool
to say terrible.
Did they get married?
Oh, they did get married.
Okay.
It was just everything around that was unfun. So
it was hot and uncomfortable.
It's really hot. It was all outside. There was no air conditioning. There's barely any wind. Luckily there was shade.
Oh no.
But it's Texas in July, so it's like high 90s with a ton of humidity and stuff. So, and I was there for like 8 hours.
Outside. 8 hours. Yeah, that's a lot. I was in it was about 117 outside today at the event I shot, and that was an experience. I was only out there for like half an hour or so, but I was ready to get back in the car when it was done.
Yeah. The worst part is my brother's car that we drove an hour to get there had no air conditioning.
Oh, that's awful.
Oh, so.
Hey, at least that sweat left your hair nice and greasy.
Yay.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Yes,
So,
you don't even need grease or like gel. You don't even need gel or anything. You just slick it back with your sweat and it's fine.
there you go. You're all perfect and beautiful.
That's
Exactly.
gross.
Oh, yes.
So for me, my week's been largely uneventful. Personally speaking, I mean, I had some family issues last week, but they're being dealt with. Everything's fine. Mostly just puppy situations with my brother, but we're getting it resolved. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be cool. Dog staying in the family.
Puppy Wait, puppy situations?
Just like my brother was worried because he was moving in with his girlfriend and the dog that we both raised, but it was his dog, guess that was his decision to get it. He might have, there was a point where they were thinking about having to get rid of him, and I was like, no, don't do that. We got it fixed, and I had to move out of a house that I moved out 6 months ago, but I hadn't cleaned. It was just a whole bunch of stuff, but everything's fine. We're good. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. But
I'm glad
this
things
week,
are good.
I did nothing besides work. Hope for Nintendo Direct. I made the Direct video. I think a lot of you guys saw that. And I finished watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. And
oh, really?
The first season's terrible. Okay, it's not terrible.
Why
it's not,
is the first season terrible?
Hold on. It's not terrible, but it's like really slow for me. It's obviously kind of more like geared towards children, and the plot doesn't progress very quickly at first, but it picks up. And I'll say that by halfway through season 2, I was like really liking it. I fell in love with Tarth as a character, and Zuko was also. Zuko's probably my favorite. Actually, all the characters are great except for Aang. Aang's okay.
What? Except for Aang? Oh, come on.
No. So my thing about Aang is just that he is the chosen one, and it's just like, oh, you're gonna save the day. Don't worry about it. Like, it's just kind of like written, and I guess I just didn't like that it was just kind of like all kind of given to him, if that makes sense. Like, I wanted there to be some suspense there, if that makes sense. I wanted him to like prove himself without being the chosen one. Like, he lost his Avatar state at one point, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Now he can prove that he's awesome without this special state from the other avatars. Whatever. Anyway, I ended up liking the story a lot, especially the other characters surrounding Aang. I thought they were all really cool.
I think I like their stories better as well.
Yeah, Katara became this badass. Zuko had the ultimate redemption story, and when he finally met his uncle at the end, like, that made me cry. So there are some very powerful moments. So I like it. I'm not saying I don't like the show. It started slow.
It does start kind of slow, yeah.
Also, shout-outs, can I just say really quick, shout-outs to Kool-Aid in the chat, #Kazoo Crew. Yes.
The Kazoo Crew, welcome. I actually see we have a super chat here from Waluigi Wa. Thank you for the super chat. Do you think Pyramid Head would be good for Smash? So is Pyramid Head from Dark Souls?
No idea what Pyramid Head is.
Familiar with Pyramid Head.
Wait, they're Pyramid. Oh, Steven Hunter's here too. What up?
No, Pyramid Head's from Silent Hill, apparently. So
that's why. Okay, there was this guy named Silent Hill Warrior, who comes to my stream sometimes, and
is it this thing right here?
He recently changed into Pyramid Head, so that makes sense now. That makes sense.
This thing is weird. I don't like it.
I mean, like, I'm gonna say probably no, mainly because, as you can see, there's a lot of like blood to its design.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't think there can't be some pretty, like, for example, like, I think Doom Guy himself, his moves are very destructive and explicit, but I feel like you could detail that in a way where there isn't that. You don't see like blood as a part of the design for Doom Guy, but for Pyramid Head it is, unless there's like other designs of him that aren't. Well, I see like every image has like blood like clearly everywhere all over him. So I'm gonna say probably not. Not saying it's not a cool character though, because it definitely looks like a character that could, that could definitely whoop some people for sure.
He looks like a character that should be in like Mortal Kombat, not Smash.
Oh, that makes
I could
sense.
see that.
That would make
for sure.
sense, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. But besides, just going back to my week before we really jump into the topics here, besides finishing Avatar, I also started working on my Link in Smash Brothers. I finally taught myself how to do bomb recovery. Some of you might be like, you just learned now? I'm like, yeah, I just learned now. But I'm working on it. I'm working on my Smash game a little bit. Hopefully it won't be terrible someday. So that's pretty much what my week was besides work. Yeah.
Since the start of quarantine, I've had this strange obsession with like 2000s Nick, like Dan Schneider. like Drake and Josh.
I remember
And
Josh.
Love Drake and Josh.
Yeah.
dude, Drake and Josh is legit.
Yeah, you want to know what's super legit though? The first 3 seasons of SpongeBob.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah.
SpongeBob is amazing.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
SpongeBob is great.
So let's check in with the chat real quick here, and then let's jump into the topics, because everyone here wants to hear us talk about all the Nintendo news, so we're going to get into it, guys.
Yes, definitely.
I see. Joker's here. Hello, Joker. The Goat55, what's up? Beverly, hello. Bryce. What did Bryce say here? I never said I would said possibly. I'm still streaming and I need to beat Spider-Man, but enjoy the stream, Derby. All right. D. Fox, we desperately need a direct yesterday. Yeah, we need a direct yesterday. Absolutely. I'm special. Hello there, I'm special. Let's see what's going on here. DW for Smash, hello. A direct is what we all need. Michael, hello there. That's right, this is the last stream before Paper Mario. This Friday, July 17th, Paper Mario The Origami King is coming out. And I'm kind of excited about it. I guess that's actually technically a third controversy, because people are talking... So we got 3 controversies to talk about this week.
Oh, we got 3.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'll probably have to update the title later or the description, because we're definitely talking about Paper Mario to some extent today. Master D, hello. Phil Spencer, hello there. Yeah, the rumors are that there may be a July 20th direct. I don't know if I agree, but we're going to be getting into it.
Wow,
Phil Spencer in the
the
house
chat.
with the Doom Eternal release date. I really do want to see that for sure. Hopefully during the direct we learn when Doom Eternal is coming to Switch. Boy Interrupted, hello there. Bakugan is stupid though. I'm sure someone somewhere likes Bakugan. I'm sure someone somewhere likes Bakugan. But I think a lot of people did not expect that for the presentation. But we'll get to that as well. Blake Landry, hello. Did you hear about the GameStop Nintendo game link? Yes, we actually will be talking about it. Here's a snapshot of it right here. I have it pulled up, ready to discuss. There are some SKUs for the Switch that are... usually when that happens it's because an announcement or a presentation like a direct is around the corner, because multiple Switch games will be announced soon. So we'll be getting into that as well. Yeah, we got a lot to cover, guys. So let's just I see we have another super chat from Waluigi. Wah! What are your thoughts on Waluigi for Smash? So I'll tell you that I don't expect Waluigi for Smash Brothers. That's just me being honest. But I'll also say that we've seen a lot of characters that people were like, no, that can't happen. No, people were like, oh, yeah. King K. Rool is irrelevant. Ridley's too big.
You're right.
Min Min's a spirit. Byleth is another Fire Emblem character. Terry Bogard is not, we don't even know who Terry Bogard is. Joker's not important for Nintendo at all. Like, all these characters that didn't make sense, that kind of went against the expectations, they've all happened. So... I don't think it's impossible that an assist trophy could get promoted. And I'll also argue that there is a chance that they could have gone with Springman for this character. They went with Min Min instead, but my point is that there is that potential, and I think the fact that there was even that potential, the fact that they didn't discount him as a possibility from the beginning, I think that shows you that they are willing to put it in assist trophy if the situation sort of makes sense for it. It hasn't happened yet, but it's not entirely out of the question. So, if you want to hope, I'm not going to stop you from hoping. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just personally don't think Waluigi is going to be the one that is added. But maybe. And if not, maybe in the next Smash game. Maybe once we get like an actual dedicated Waluigi game. That's what I want to see. I want to see Waluigi's character get fleshed out first, and then put him in Smash Brothers.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to get into Smash Ultimate, but I think he has a shot for like the base roster of the next game.
Yeah, I think there's a chance of that. Birdman added me, yo, check Tiffany Treadmore's Twitter because she posted something interesting. Is Tiffany Treadmore the scandalous Twitter account?
It looks like, yeah, it looks like it.
I think I gave her some credence once, and then it turned out to like not be true. So I was like, yeah, I don't trust this person anymore.
Yeah, she's. I mean, it looks like she just. post like leaks, which we would never know.
Yep. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw the Tiffany Treadmore thing with the Nintendo Direct, and she said soon. I made, just so you know, the name is @HotGirlVideo69. Yeah, I'm not gonna say any more to that beyond that, but
there you go.
The rumors are there. So like, if you guys are here last week, or you've been paying attention to the channel, or just other people like myself, we've been talking about this Nintendo Direct rumor for a while from Kelios. I guess it's just time to talk about the Direct rumor. We'll jump into that now. We've been talking about this rumor for a while, but more recently, like a few days ago, the bigger outlets started picking up. It's the same rumor, same source, but there's a little bit more details because Kelios has said that they're thinking around July 20th. So that's kind of a Monday. Usually we don't get Nintendo Directs on Mondays, so I'm kind of skeptical of that specific date. Also, they didn't very clearly say, oh, it has to be on Monday, so I'm not sure if it's for sure going to be on that Monday on the 20th. But definitely, if it happens on a Monday, I guess that would either, one, mean that Nintendo's going to announce it like when Paper Mario comes out next week, we wait throughout the weekend and then we get it as a live stream on Monday, or it's just like a video drop.
A video drop could definitely be it. I wouldn't discount, like, in this whole like season of, I guess you could call it, of life right now, where the whole pandemic issues and everything, we really don't know. Like, they've dropped news like on a Friday or Saturday or something, and I remember that because somebody on Twitter did say, like, they did comment on that. But anyway, they're like, oh, but we're not supposed to get Nintendo news on a Friday, like, oh, so we can't. But sarcastically, obviously. But so I wouldn't discount necessarily the getting a Nintendo Direct on a Monday.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say that's kind of out of the question is like announcements Saturday and Sunday. I do not expect anything Saturday and Sunday. The Nintendo social media team is not in the office. They work the 9 to 5 days, it seems, or something like that at an office, or something along those lines. Like, they, you know what I mean? They work the typical work week. Saturday and Sunday, like nothing happens. From Nintendo,
yeah, 9
to
to 5, Monday through Friday, something like that.
Yeah,
it does
which means
seem
if
like
it is on Monday, it will probably be just the drop. We probably won't hear about it beforehand.
Which would be so disappointing to me, because I want to be surprised, and I think if you're not ready for the drop, right? You're gonna see something or hear about something really soon. Even if you ignore social media and you're just like, I'm gonna go to Nintendo's page, you're gonna see other videos there. You're just gonna see stuff, So I really like the live stream approach, because it creates an event where everyone kind of gets together. There's the reaction videos and all that stuff, and it's really cool to have that sort of setup. And then there's those surprises, like the Banjo-Kazooie reveal, and then the Breath of the Wild 2. That was one of the best moments in ever for me, in terms of announcements. That back to back. My voice was gone for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so amazing, that whole thing. So I just I don't know what they're gonna do, because Nintendo's obviously been experimental this year, but my personal desire is that it's an actual live stream. So either it's not Monday, right, and they announce it throughout the week and then it happens, or maybe they announce it's on Monday and then it happens on a Wednesday or something. That makes sense. We've seen that before.
Yeah, that does make sense.
So I'm personally hoping they announce it in advance of the live stream, but whatever it is, I mean, if we get an Nintendo Direct, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain a lot. I'm going to complain a little, but
you always gotta complain a little bit, right?
A little bit, yeah. There's got to be some backlash. Wouldn't be the internet without it.
That brings up another good point of what we were talking about on Twitter the other day, or what you posted the other day, or I guess that's more about Bakugan.
Oh right, I mean,
wait for you to bring that up.
Yeah. there's so much we can talk about right now. But I mean, we could let me check a couple of these ads and let's get into that. Before we do, what do you guys think the 20th is going to happen, or do you just like, what are your thoughts on, like, do you think that is actually the date?
It's a weird date to predict, I think. Which kind of makes me think, you know, give it a little bit more legitimacy. They didn't pick like a really obvious date.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like a catch-22, because at the same time it's like, that's less believable because that doesn't make as much sense. But then you remember it's Nintendo and they never make sense, and then you just second guess yourself until you don't know.
True, the kings of left field, am I right?
Yeah, it's hard to say for sure.
We kind of thought that we were gonna get news before Paper Mario. You know, I mean, they did.
We still might.
You know, reveal.
We still might.
Bakugan. That's true. We could get a trailer or something.
Yeah, I want to make something clear, actually, because earlier this month I made a video saying that we're bound to get a major Nintendo announcement soon, before the Direct rumors surface. Just for the record, I talked about that, had all my evidence for it, you know, and then we got the Nintendo Direct rumors, sure, but still no Nintendo Direct yet, and then there's a Nintendo Treehouse with Paper Mario, and then the Bakugan reveal. I saw a couple people go to that video and say, "Oh, you called it," and no, I didn't call it. The Bakugan reveal is not what I had in mind. Okay, that I wouldn't qualify that as a major Nintendo announcement. The major Nintendo announcement I was alluding to was either just a Nintendo Direct or a couple trailer drops for major published Nintendo games. Nintendo's not publishing Bakugan as far as I am aware. So this is something else, okay? Like, Bakugan is not it. There's something else coming for sure, I think. So, yeah, it isn't that. But let me check in with the chat here. I got a couple ads, another super chat.
Rob is here. Rule 2.
Waluigi Wall with another super chat. Thank you. Hear me out. Waluigi parkour game. What if they had a Waluigi Tony Hawk like crossover? No, I would park.
Oh my gosh.
What's interesting is that Mario and Luigi already do parkour, but it could be like Waluigi training to learn parkour. I don't know. I mean, I think it's an idea. There's an idea there.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. The Joker added me. Would you rather have a Breath of the Wild 2 release date, the 3D Mario remasters, or Mario Odyssey 2 announcements in a direct?
Zelda.
Well, hold on. It depends. Does that Breath of the Wild 2 release date? What?
What about Mario Galaxy 3? I think that should be in there too. I would pick that.
My thing is, I will take Breath of the Wild 2 and 3D Mario remasters for this year. So when you say release date, if you mean release date for this year, yeah, I'll take Breath of the Wild 2 and the Mario remasters for 2020 as opposed to Super Mario Odyssey 2. But I'll be okay with Super Mario Odyssey 2. That's pretty good too. I'll take that. Or Mario Galaxy 3, to your point, Kazoo. That would also be really nice.
Mario Galaxy 3 would be lit.
So,
can I just say?
Yeah. Now, I don't think we're getting Galaxy 3 soon, but these Mario remasters, if that is like the big holiday game, which I think would be a little disappointing, if it is, just hypothetically speaking, I think that would also imply that this is kind of a fairly fleshed out like remaster here. Like this would, I think it would mean like they would have like new levels, greatly improved graphics. Like it wouldn't just be taking the base game and throwing them into one package. Like if that's the game that comes out in November, there's gonna be more to it than just the 3 games in one package with minimal changes. If it's like the big release of the year. I'm personally hoping for and somewhat thinking that it's gonna be like the 1-2 punch. Like I'm thinking that for the second half of 2020, Nintendo's 2 big games are gonna be Zelda and the Mario remasters. Of course, it's entirely possible Zelda won't come out this year. A lot of people don't think so. I'm one of the few that thinks it can still happen, but that's my perspective on it.
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it was going to, and then COVID, and now it's not. I don't know.
Hard to say. We'll get to that. Yeah, but I want to get through the chat here. Birdman Atomy. Nintendo has been announcing events recently on either Thursday or Friday. They have. Yeah, I mean, maybe they will announce something and then we'll get that direct on a Monday. They'll announce it on Friday and we'll get it on a Monday. Beverly, hey guys, would you like to see a new Nintendo Direct coming on June 20th? I would like to see a Metroid news announcement, Breath of the Wild 2. I'm also pulling for Metroid. I'm just expecting it to be like a 2D Metroid thing. Yeah.
Oh, a 2D Metroid. Interesting.
Yeah. For sure. Oh yeah, I see Rob. What's up, Rob? How you doing, man? Jake Miller, who needs Breath of the Wild 2? I want Bakugan MOBA next. Keep it coming, Nintendo.
Oh, God.
You
Bakugan
joker, you.
MOBA. Oh.
Yeah. So
well, that's certainly something, isn't
it? It is. But I guess that's a good point. Good time to talk about it then. So we got this announcement that there's gonna be a Paper Mario Treehouse, which is really cool because we haven't seen Treehouse in over a year. So we're getting Treehouse, and I would say that
true, since 3.
Yeah, I would say that because we got this Treehouse, I think that implies more Treehouse segments throughout the year. Actually, like they'll do them for individual
now they
games.
know that they can do it.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, so for whatever other Nintendo games that are coming out this year, I think we're gonna see other Treehouse segments. So I think it's gonna be really nice to see because that's pretty much the only way they can show us like extended gameplay. So I'm still expecting to see more of that.
I just really hope they get their technology in check because that delay made the conversation so awkward. It was so bad.
This is my thought when I was listening to it. Why I was listening to it, I was like, I know YouTubers that don't do YouTube full time that do a better job than this.
Honestly, true.
Yeah.
It was not good. It's like those it's like in a cartoon where two cars are stopped at a stoplight and they're like, no, you go first, no, you go first, no, you go first. But in real life, it was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
just constantly, no, you.
But I mean,
no, you.
They did have the disclaimer.
Somebody talk.
So.
Right. So hopefully the next one will be better. I mean, I still watched it. It was definitely watchable. I'm not saying it wasn't watchable.
It was
but for sure, I think that they will improve on it moving forward. And so there's 2 controversies that were birthed or born from this Treehouse. There's the one about Paper Mario because we got confirmation that there isn't an experience system. So it's basically based off coins. And I think we'll talk about that and then we'll jump into the Bakugan nonsense. So for Paper Mario, I really like how the game looks so far, in terms of exploring it and collecting the toads. That all seems really fun to me. I don't like the idea of not getting experience. That is a little concerning to me. But I'll also say that I'm going to wait to see how the game plays because depending on how important those coins are, how often you use the coins, depending on how that is balanced, it might still work. It's not a traditional experience system. I get that's annoying. Both Stick Star and Color Splash went away from that. That's what fans hated. And this isn't super reassuring. I'm totally with you there. It's a little concerning. I'm afraid that I'm gonna get this game. I'm gonna think it's really cool at first, and then I'm gonna my excitement's gonna taper off halfway through. I don't want that to happen, and I'm legitimately concerned. But I think there's a potential that depending on how the game is balanced with the coins and how you use them, that this coin-based experience system won't be that terrible. So
I honestly am not worried at all.
Okay.
As long as the battle system, as long as the battle system is fun or interesting, to play, it's fine. Because I mean, even the other Paper Mario games, they had a decent enough RPG element to it, but towards the end of the game, you're constantly dodging every enemy because you're just I just want to stop battling. It's just how a lot of RPGs are, so I don't think it's really a problem as long as the environments are cool, the story is interesting.
And that's what I saw in the Treehouse that I was kind of excited about. There was a lot of things to find and do, and that makes the world really compelling. So I guess it makes it less of an RPG and more of an adventure, but personally, I love adventure games, so like for me, it kind of is more appealing to me. Not to say I don't like good RPGs, because like for example, I love Xenoblade. Like I really love diving to that system.
Yeah.
So I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's an interesting one because I'm not really a huge RPG person. Like I think I'm still gonna pick up Paper Mario, but it's just interesting because I don't really play a lot of RPGs, so I don't really know about the whole like XP dealio. But the battle system, it looked kind of complicated.
Okay.
I think it's one of those where it's hard to understand just by watching it, and you have to actually like
you're probably right.
Understand, because when you really study it, and it's not that complicated, it just looks really like complicated when you're not actually the one playing.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I mean, but I think it's gonna be fine. We'll see how history plays out here, but I think it's gonna be fine. But what seemed to get even more hate than the Paper Mario situation was the Bakugan situation. So I think it's first important to note that the way it was sort of presented to us, right? So we got the announcement of the Paper Mario Treehouse, but then after that, during that announcement, they said that there was going to be something else from WayForward during the second half of the presentation, during the Treehouse. So people were like, "Oh my God, guys! Paper Mario, Metroid. They were teased together. They were rumored together earlier in the year. There was a Metroid tease at the end of the Paper Mario trailer, and now WayForward
would have been pretty good. That would have been kind of perfect. But Nintendo's more sneaky. That's too easy."
People jumped to that conclusion, and I was like, okay. At first, I was like, I guess they could do it. Like, I feel like it would be WayForward stepping out of their comfort zone. And I was skeptical of it, especially because I really believe it's going to be Mercury Steam developing the next 2D Metroid. Like, they made a Metroid game already. Makes sense. And they've had interviews saying that they want to do it. And if you play Metroid Samus Returns, there are several suggestions towards Fusion or story beyond Fusion. So to me, it's just like almost set in stone that it's going to be Mercury Steam. Obviously, it's not set in stone, but my point is that I feel like it's really likely for them. And then you look at WayForward's work, their games, they're like side scrollers, but they're all like more on the simplistic, easier side. They're more
they're a lot more like hand-drawn looking or cartoony.
Yeah, right. They don't really make 3D games. Their scope of games is usually a lot smaller. Now, granted, Bakugan does seem to be a step up in terms of ambition, even though people aren't excited about it. But my point is that I wouldn't pick WayForward to be the team to make the next 2D Metroid game.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they did have that. Nintendo did have a tweet out that said, I'm sure you know this, but Nintendo they tweeted, WayForward is a third-party IP that they're working on. It's not it's basically saying it's not Metroid.
Right. But people were still super excited about it, and I wonder how much of that was just not realizing that there was that other tweet there, or if it was just kind of thinking that, hey, there still could be something really cool. And I think a lot of people were hoping that this was going to be like a big, cool game that they would play really soon. And I think a lot of that comes from just being starved of information. And it sort of panned into a hate fest. People were like, what in the world is this? And everyone was turned off.
Personally, I was never expecting much. First off, we talked about how it's WayForward. It was not third party, so it's probably not. It was definitely not going to be Metroid, and it was WayForward, so it probably wasn't going to be anything like super massive. And it was in the Treehouse. The Treehouse never announced anything that great. They did announce. I can see why some people might have thought that just because they did announce 2D Metroid that one time. But other than that, all their announcements are like really, not that special. So as soon as I realized, it wasn't Metroid, I was like, oh, well, that's like the one thing they've ever announced that was actually awesome. So it's not gonna be anything good.
Yeah, I just think because we had a bit of a discussion on Twitter. I still haven't gone into some of the notifications there, but there was a bit of discussion on like, is this why Nintendo shouldn't do like directs or things like that? Because you can have situations where games like Bakugan will be announced and they'll be super hated and not accepted, and that could ruin like the impression of the rest of the games during the direct. But I was arguing the opposite, that because if you have games that are together, sure, not everyone will like Bakugan, some people will, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff that people will like, so they won't be pissed off. But you have a singular announcement where people get excited, they watch the presentation or the Treehouse for this announcement, and it turns out to be not something they liked, then guess what? You're going to have a lot more blowback that way. But if you have a presentation like a direct where several things are announced, sure, some people are going to be disappointed, but most people are going to at least see a couple things they like when there are several things announced.
For everyone. There's something for everyone.
So I think the singular announcements actually lends itself more towards big backlash, because you're going to have people who get excited and they don't get what they want because it's only one announcement. That's what's going to happen. So, I mean, actually, think about this for a second. Look what happened with the Pokemon Presents. Now, this was a mistake in terms of avoiding backlash, because the first Pokemon Presents was very, very well liked. People were super excited about it. There are several things, the big thing being Pokemon Snap, and people were happy about it. But then they had a second Pokemon Presents, and people were like, oh my god, they're having a separate presentation. Why would Pokemon Company do this? It makes sense for it to be a mainline game. And I agreed with that, but I also was like, wait, why would they announce a mainline Pokemon game now? They're focusing on the DLC this year. Are they just announcing something earlier so it can come out like early 2021? That's what I was sort of thinking. But as it turned out, the reason they were doing a singular presentation, another presentation for one announcement, was not because it was a mainline game, but because they were paid out by, I don't even know the name of the company,
Tencent.
Tencent.
Tencent?
Yeah, but that's why there was a lot of blowback. It wasn't just because Pokemon Company is working with Tencent, a big Chinese company. It was because it was one game that a lot of people weren't looking forward to, and everyone tuned in for that presentation, and they were disappointed because it wasn't what they wanted.
Yeah,
if that game
right.
was,
You're right on that one.
if it was in the first presents, it wouldn't have gone. There wouldn't have been a whole bunch of dislikes. There would have been some people like, okay, and other people like, oh, I'll try it out. That's how it would have been.
Right.
So
so they kind of shot themselves in the foot, didn't they?
I think so.
Yeah, I think the only time you do like a presentation where it's just one game is if it's something big like Zelda or
something
Mario.
that you know will be very widely accepted.
If it was Metroid,
like Animal Crossing.
like if it was Metroid, that would have actually been really good. So,
but I think that also kind of brings us back to what I was talking about earlier, how I don't want the live stream directs to go away, because when you have if you want to have a singular announcement, you can't I feel like you can't announce it in advance if it's a singular announcement, because it's the one announcement. It lends itself towards backlash. People are going to go in and it's not going to be what they want. That's just going to happen.
Yeah, people are going to overhype it, and that's another reason that I think that directs should not go away, is because people are going to get their hopes up no matter what. Even if directs go away, Nintendo is still going to have to announce the news in some way.
Yeah.
And where there is news, people are gonna be upset and disappointed and all this.
So this is how I think it should be done. If it's something that you want to be as a separate announcement outside of a big presentation like a direct, then you just have a trailer drop, like the Paper Mario thing. They dropped the trailer.
Exactly.
We knew what it was. Drop. You don't tell us in advance, oh, we have one announcement, everyone tune in. There's a small chance you might be excited about it, but probably not.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not how it should be. But if you want to have a surprise announcement like that, that's what the direct is perfect for, because during that, sure, maybe one or two of the announcements isn't for everyone, but because there are several in one presentation, some people are going to have some really surprise announcements, and they're going to be really excited about that. So that's where I think these surprise announcements are good for, where you have a presentation with multiple announcements. But if it's a single thing, don't build up anticipation. Just tell us what it is. That's how I think it should be.
Yeah, I do think Nintendo obviously attempted to curb enthusiasm and bring people back to reality with that second tweet.
But that's the problem, though. It was the second tweet, and I think it was reactionary because they realized there was a whole bunch of excitement for Metroid. If it was in the initial tweet, like if it was part of it, and there will be a third-party reveal after Paper Mario, then that would have been with the initial tweet. People wouldn't have assumed Metroid because that literally means not possibly Metroid. There wouldn't have been as much build-up, so I think the blowback would have been less if that was part of the initial tweet. There still may have been some dislike because it's still like that singular announcement. People will still come in thinking about something cool, and then they're disappointed with
Technically,
what it is.
I mean, they didn't even really need to say that it's in there. Like, Paper Mario by itself is enough to get people to watch. So if you just be like, you know, do the Paper Mario segment at the end, be like, oh, we have a surprise, and then show that off. Like, why'd you even need to put it in the tweet that it was going to be there?
Get more people to watch.
I guess.
It did accomplish that. It inherently gets more people to watch. So, yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like it was such obviously a small thing, and people were just super hungry for information, blew it way out of proportion, and let themselves down because everything about the way they tweeted it out, like I never thought it was going to be anything big.
Right, but you've also studied Nintendo for a few years. Not everyone is as well studied about it, so they probably were like, "Oh my God, this is gonna be like Grand Theft Auto 7 for Switch or something," you know? Some people probably thought that. So
like how we've jumped a whole game there.
Yeah.
WayForward.
Straight to
Grand
7.
Theft Auto devs.
There you go, man. But you understand. I'm sure you understand my point, though. Like, not everyone understands what third party means, what WayForward would suggest, like all these different things. So people get really excited about it, and still, like people. I'll also argue that if you're a WayForward fan, you might still have been disappointed by the announcement because Shantae is cool. That's not a Shantae-like game, you know. It's something else. So, I understand why people are disappointed. I like you. I didn't have high expectations to begin with.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the Treehouse live. I heard about it after.
I watched it live, but like a few minutes behind.
Yeah.
I was a little bit late to get to it.
No. I see I have a couple ads here. Let me see. Beverly Carter is asking, do you guys think since plus to chat we will see a brand new Danganronpa game on... I'll say that Danganronpa would definitely work on Switch. I don't play too many of them, but I mean, I know that they were popular on the PSP, right? So I feel like there should definitely be some on Switch at some point. I don't follow the franchise that much, but I saw the anime.
I've heard the name,
I thought it was really cool. There's like a little bear assassin, and you have people trying to kill the bear or something.
Oh yeah. I remember,
it's pretty cool.
I remember what it looks like, but I still have no idea how the game actually plays or what
I never played the game, I just saw the anime. Ronnie Fazio added me. It's been 5 years since Iwata-san left us. I truly miss his presence at Nintendo, and I hope his creation, the Nintendo Direct, doesn't go away. I agree with you. Iwata was great. I think a lot of what Nintendo is enjoying right now is all because, not all, but in large part due to what Iwata-san was working on before he left. He was working on the NX. He was working on modern ways for Nintendo to move forward. So this is his legacy. So I think it's special.
It makes me so sad. I wish that he didn't die because we owe it to Iwata. This is because of him. Thank you, Iwata-san.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Nintendo said... What'd you say, Kazoo?
Oh, I was just saying, in like you said, in large part, due to him.
Yeah. And I feel like, Nintendo is headed in a really good direction now, which kind of brings me to
I think so.
Another topic, what Nintendo said about their next-gen system. So, as you guys may have heard, there was the 80th annual general meeting of the shareholders. And there was a question presented to Shuntaro Furukawa, the current president, and other executives. So I'll go ahead and read that for you guys, and then we'll talk about it. So, could you tell us about the outlook for your next game system? Game hardware has always displayed an image on a TV or other kind of screen while you do something, and I think that's where the limits of this format are. Would the hardware you are thinking about go beyond those limits? So here's Shintaro Furukawa. Our current generation game system, Nintendo Switch, has entered its 4th year since launch, but its momentum is increasing. We believe there are 2 factors behind this. First is the existence of 2 hardware configurations with different characteristics in Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch Lite. The second factor is that Nintendo's development resources are concentrated on development content for a single platform, Nintendo Switch. We want to extend the life cycle of Nintendo Switch while maximizing such advantages. I guess I'll read this other part right here, and then we'll jump into this. So this is from Koshiota. In addition to the performance aspects, Nintendo's dedicated video game platforms are developed with a focus on providing comfortable environment for consumers to play fun software. From the perspective of playing with the image displayed on a TV, we believe that because consumers can play Nintendo Switch on a TV or game console screen itself, it has greatly increased the opportunities for gameplay in various scenes in their lives compared to previous consoles. Through Switch, we've made many discoveries about where a dedicated video game platform can fit into a consumer's daily life. We see scenes on social media of children and their families sitting around the game console to play, which gives us a renewed sense of value of our dedicated video game platform. We will utilize these experiences in carefully considering the form of our future game consoles will take. So for me, all of this, it just says, hey, we really like what we accomplished with the Switch. The flexible gameplay, how it appeals to various ways of playing games for different kinds of people. And they're seeing it in, Nintendo's paying close attention to this, and they are definitely taking that into consideration, which I interpret as the next video game system is going to totally use what was accomplished with the Switch. Nintendo focusing on one platform, and the flexibility of Switch and it sort of like catering to different play styles. I think that's going to become a staple for Nintendo moving forward. That's what I'm expecting, and I think the next generation Switch, whatever it is, Switch 2 or Switch 2U, Wii U Pro Plus 7, it's going to be great.
Yeah, I personally am thinking they're going to do something along the lines of like an iteration, but obviously it's going to have some sort of evolution to it. And I'm wondering if that's going to be in the dock itself, because it's this great little, piece of plastic, but it's not like a lot of that. I feel like that's one of the things people have, like third-party companies have changed the most. Like they're like, different dock designs, like smaller docks and things like that. And a lot of people want things like a dock with actual like hardware and like, a second GPU or something like that. So I think that's what they'll kind of iterate upon it. I think they'll obviously redesign the unit itself, maybe have a less of a bezel and all that good stuff, maybe have higher quality,
better Joy-Cons,
build materials, better Joy-Cons.
Yeah, I have a hard time.
Maybe analog triggers. Can we please get those, Nintendo? That'd be nice.
Headphone jacks for too much.
Maybe.
Whoa, buddy, come on here.
Things they had back in the GameCube days. What?
No, that's just nonsense, man. Why would you expect such things? But yeah, I think it's gonna basically just gonna improve the Switch. Like, I think those things are obvious. Like, obviously the Switch is more powerful. I think eventually Nintendo has to have systems that work with 4K televisions, improve the controls, make it more comfortable, push out more power, maybe a better screen, maybe bigger. All of those things are just obvious like improvements for the Switch. But I think what's interesting is trying to come up with what else will Nintendo do, because they always try to innovate and do something different. Will they do something different with the next Switch? Will they like come up with something crazy that will make Switch 2.0 or whatever it's called really set itself apart? Or is it just going to be more of the same, but better?
I don't know if they'll have anything that's like really radically different, at least not anything that's you have to use. They might have some like crazy like options or like accessories or something. But as far as like features in the base console itself, I'm wondering if they'll try to do something for streaming like your Switch to the TV without actually docking it.
Yeah, like
streaming it to the dock. Kind of like how the Wii U gamepad works.
Yeah.
Without docking it,
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. They had that. They experimented with that with the Wii. They didn't just experiment. They did it with the Wii U. They just took a lot of processing power. So it's.
Wait, is that with the Wii U? What?
Yeah, you could play your games on your gamepad and stuff. You know, TV, or what did they even call it? Like gamepad mode or something. Usually you'd press like minus or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that. I guess. Oh, maybe I'm like mixing up, not understanding what you're saying. Are you saying like playing like this in handheld mode, but like it streams to your TV, or it streams like
streaming,
like live stream?
Not like live streaming, like it's like streaming to your TV, like if you plugged it into your dock and
I think
TV, but without
one
the dock
problem with that though is that if you want the Switch to be more powerful, because when the Switch is docked, when it's plugged into a power source, it overclocks, so it can run games at higher resolutions and things of that nature. So the games look better. There's more power when the Switch is docked. So they have a higher graphical setting when it's docked. So if you are running the game still from the tablet, but also streaming to the television, that can create a challenge. But I think it's entirely possible that you can still stream the game to the dock, and the dock can add its own additional power, and you combine both, and you still get the better looking version of the game on the television. It just sounds
from what I understand
hard
of just how that works. The only thing you could do is you could add like post-processing effects, like anti-aliasing or something like that. But you're not, or like they could use it as like a resolution scaler, kind of like how DLSS works, or reconstruction or something like that. But you can't say render a frame using both GPUs at the same time. You have to render the frame, send it to the other GPU, and then add things to it, and then send it to the TV.
And that's
so
also
things
a
like
lot
frame rate wouldn't be increased. Your frame rate would be the same.
So what do you...
minus having, unless you wanted to anti-alias the original image, and then I guess your frame rate would be better because you don't have to anti-alias the.
I think the point is that there's a lot of challenges with that, right?
Yeah.
So that's where it gets tricky. But if you just focus on all of the power being in the system itself, and then you just, I guess, like you said, like some post-processing effects maybe could be done with the dock. I don't know. Like, I guess that's.
I think it's just
going
to be something like just as an option. It does.
Okay, I guess what you could do is that you could stream it that way, but it won't be the higher fidelity version.
Yeah.
Okay, and they could have that disclaimer like, hey, look, you could do it like this, but just keep in mind that if you want the better version, you want to dock it. Yeah, it would just basically just be literally just mirroring, not even mirroring, just streaming exactly you have on your portable Switch to the television, but if you want the better version, dock. Yeah, I think that's probably a better solution. So, for some games, you're not going to care about the extra 140 or 240p resolution, you know, like bumping from 720 to 1080. Or I guess for Switch 2 from 1080 to 4K or something.
So are you... like, you would be playing it, like, you would be playing the Switch right in front of you. Like, you would be playing it in handheld mode, and there would be, like, a picture on the screen and everything. And you'd be playing it. But then, like, it would just also mirror itself to the TV. So,
I feel like you would just send it. Well, that's one idea. You could have people watch what you're playing.
Yeah, that's totally, possibility for sure that they could use that for just, you know, you're playing in handheld mode, but you want to display it on the TV as well.
Yeah.
That would be, honestly, that would be good for someone like me, because of my, like, eye situation, I can see better, like, if everything is, like, you know,
in a smaller space.
And in a smaller, exactly, yeah. So, like, Mario Maker 2 multiplayer, I can do it pretty well, like, handheld, but when it's docked, I struggle a little bit more with it.
Okay.
That's just an example, but, so for that, I wonder, like, okay, so do you think that if that were a thing that were to happen, that you could do that, like I would be, because I've always wanted to be able to like play my Switch in handheld mode like this, while also like streaming it. Do you think that if it got streamed to the TV, like you could capture it? Like,
yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, you'd be able to capture it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe because like the capture card plugs into the Switch.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, the HDMI.
You would be able to capture that, yes.
Another option would be to like maybe you could still have that feature, but maybe the dock would have like some built-in components besides just, you know, what it is now, where it could have some information presented on the television. You know, like let's say you want to just share a clip with your friends or family in the room while you're in portable mode. You're like, oh guys, I have a little clip, and you boop it onto the other thing while your main system's still there, just so people could see what you were playing in that moment. You could send that. Maybe you could also still have that option to stream over to television without having to step up or stand up and dock. Or maybe it could just present some information, or maybe they can even like bring back some of that asynchronous gameplay of like, remember Nintendo Land?
The only
Nintendo Land, like the Luigi's Mansion one.
Yeah, that one was fun.
Good time.
I think it would ultimately, none of these things, like, they're all cool, but I don't think they'd be system sellers, you know? They would just be like little improvements.
Yeah, you're right. The
would be
seller
great.
of the Switch is obviously the portability of the Switch.
Right.
So you don't want to take away from that.
Dock and undock. I don't know how they're gonna follow it up. I don't think we could ever really know, like, because they're spending so much on, you know, R&D, like looking at what is gonna be like the next big thing for Nintendo, and it's
I feel like VR is like, if you want to really innovate, come up with a better VR solution.
Yeah, like VR glasses, like a way to make them actually not. You know, Nintendo was actually gonna do VR glasses in like the 80s, but they decided to go with the Virtual Boy instead.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been any better.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No, I think it would have been better.
Yeah. I don't know. So some people are speculating right now that not even like next gen Switch, but like Switch Pro might have VR capabilities. Because remember, we did get that firmware update that talked about a Switch that had like second screen capabilities. So it does seem like, I'm not sure if it's going to be VR, but Nintendo is thinking about something that has two-screen gameplay to some sort of second screen component there. Maybe it's what we're talking about now, how it'll present some information on screen while you're still playing in portable mode. Maybe it is like booping it over or streaming it into television, or maybe it's VR, or maybe like it's all of that. Like, that would be really cool to see. But from just like, let's say, a VR perspective, there are certain games that I really, really want to see come back, like Nintendo franchises that haven't. But if there was like a dedicated or better VR setup for Nintendo, they would be really good fits for it. Like the franchises that come to mind, obviously Metroid Prime. We know Nintendo's already working on that, but by the time Metroid Prime 4 comes out, there may be a better VR solution out there.
That game would play amazingly in VR.
Yeah. Another one that comes to mind is Star Fox. Imagine Star Fox, but in the cockpit. That might be awesome. And then another one is F-Zero. Like, all of these games would be, like, super intense. And that might be really cool to see. I'll also argue, though, that especially with F-Zero, because of how fast it is, maybe VR wouldn't be the best, because it might just get really disorienting and really hard to sort of... Because I think you kind of need the camera pulled out a little bit so you can see more of what's in front of you and around you, so you can react better. Because I never actually enjoyed playing F-Zero, like, in the cockpit mode. It was just too much. But, you know...
I would really love for Nintendo to make a new VR headset, because I love Labo VR. It's already super impressive for, you know, what the Switch hardware specs are, which honestly shouldn't be running VR at all, period. So if we got like a dedicated VR headset that was actually, higher resolution, higher frame rates, which is a really big important thing for VR. Typically, you want to hit, 60 FPS is like on the low end of VR typically. So, 90 FPS is what you should be shooting for. So we get something like that,
Labo
that'd be
VR.
great, and especially with.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And having a headset that's actually not super uncomfortable would be great. One that I can actually strap on my head with a strap, and then use my Pro Controller instead of having to either hold it or lay down with a plastic shoving into my face.
I like how you came up with that idea, though. That was pretty smart.
I don't think I came up with that idea. I think that's just somebody else
in my head you did, so just take it.
I came up with that idea.
Yeah.
Super smart.
So, there's one more major topic. Well, there's a couple other things I want to talk about. We've touched on the July 20th aspect for the Direct, right? We've touched on the Paper Mario and Bakugan controversies. We're now talking about potential next generation Switch stuff. We still haven't talked about the Breath of the Wild controversy. So, but there's another thing we haven't mentioned yet, and that is that Suda51 is still teasing No More Heroes 3. We saw him during it came from the Devolver Direct, I think, and there's another shot of No More Heroes 3. So I'm just saying, guys, if you guys think that No More Heroes 3 is not coming out in 2020, I strongly disagree. This game's totally coming out this year, and I think it's probably going to be focused on during this supposed Nintendo Direct. I expect that, and we're going to get a release date, and it's going to come out within a couple months, I think.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's still a 2020 game.
Yeah.
The only thing I could see is if it came out in
January.
Super, January or February 2021.
I think
I don't think this game's really.
I actually think Suda51 is just kind of dangling that the Direct. He's like, hey, look, No More Heroes 3. I'm showing this off in little places here and there. I think for sure this is getting a blowout soon. So, I think I actually would argue this is adding more credence to the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, I agree. That seems like something that would be there.
It's true.
I don't expect them to not show anything. That was weird, double negative. But I definitely expect to see an announcement. Just because you can't just tease this like this and then just be like, okay, that's what you get, and then just leave. You just built up hype and then just dropped it all. What are you doing? You gotta show something.
Something for sure.
It's gotta be something for the hype to build up to. You can't just be
they're building up to something.
Nope.
Absolutely. So,
I feel like game companies do that a lot, though. They start to build up the hype, and then there's just nothing.
I
do that a lot. I don't know.
I would like to think that, and usually there's a build up for something, and maybe sometimes that build up isn't for something we wanted.
Oh yeah.
But there is still something they're building up to. But I feel like Suda51 is a guy who's very savvy, very well understanding, and I think he's aware of what he's doing, I don't think he's just some PR guy who had a suggestion of what to do to market a game. I think this is a dude who's dangling his baby because he knows we want it, and he knows that soon there will be a blowout for it. So that's my perspective on it. But I also kind of want to tie this into our next topic, which is the Breath of the Wild controversy, because it almost seems like there's these little things here and there that are sort of screaming, hey, an announcement is coming really soon for all this stuff. We're talking about No More Heroes 3 now, right? But then let's also look at how we don't know about anything beyond Paper Mario, right? There's that. There is this demand for actual Nintendo announcements. We got the Paper Mario Treehouse thing, which shows that, hey, more Treehouses may very well come, right? Which obviously implies more Nintendo games will be announced soon. But then they had this third-party reveal of Bakugan, and then there's so much there's so much hate towards that, and I think it's because it's time. It's time for Nintendo to talk about something. So I just feel like there's a lot of little things that are just sort of saying now is the time for it to happen. And obviously we have Kelios talking about the Nintendo Direct. Even the bigger media outlets are now talking about July 20th is this date that's circulating. We'll see if that's actually the date. I'm still skeptical of it, but if it happens then, I'm not going to complain. But, you know, point is that there's all these different things being discussed right now. And then, of course, we mentioned it earlier, GameStop had the different SKUs come up that kind of go to show you that, hey, there are games that are right around the corner that are about to be announced. Oftentimes we get these like GameStop or Best Buy listings because there's some sort of event that's going to announce multiple games. So all of this is sort of like seemingly supporting a direct right around the corner. But there's another thing that's debatable, very debatable, that happened earlier this week, or like 6 days ago. And that was, well, actually before then, but the news broke then. So I would say about 2 weeks ago, give or take a few days, there was maybe a little bit longer, but the point is, a little while ago, there was a Spanish Nintendo podcast. And
oh, yes. Oh, that's the Breath of the Wild yes.
That's the Breath of the Wild controversy, exactly.
I got
So this Spanish Nintendo podcast brought in the voice actors for Zelda and Rivali, the Spanish ones from Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
And they talked about different things in Spanish, and I listened to it twice before it was taken down. I think they put it back up though, so you know, consider that. But a lot of media outlets last Monday started blowing things out of proportion. People who did not understand Spanish were like translating this and saying something that didn't actually happen. Basically, what was being interpreted and being pushed by a whole bunch of media outlets last Monday was that the voice actors for Breath of the Wild said that they were done with their work on Breath of the Wild 2. That was a mistranslation, a strong one. Now, I listened to it twice. I'm not going to say that my interpretation of it is perfect. This is a Spain dialect, and Spanish is my second language. But from what I understand, there was no confirmation at all of being done. But they did allude to the possibility of working on Breath of the Wild 2. But they said, oh, but wait, we can't talk about that. If we did, we wouldn't know. So, like, they kind of, like, joked about it, but they did, it seemingly inadvertently bring it up. So, if there was a Breath of the Wild 2 thing and they had been working on it, they weren't allowed to talk about it. So, you know, there's clearly an NDA there. This sort of blew out of proportion. Then, Un Café con Nintendo, the name of the podcast, put out a statement saying, basically, that they felt everyone was being very unprofessional, and they were trying to support both of the voice actors, saying that they were very respectful, professional people. They were trying to defend them, and then the podcast was taken down. So I was like, oh man, did something actually leak here? But then they put it back up. So I think they might have just done that to quell the controversy. Go on, Kazoo.
I was just gonna say, I was kind of suspicious that they took it back down.
Yeah.
But that they took it down. And then, like, re-upload it. Like, I don't know.
But they re-uploaded it and they didn't take out that clip, so it's still there. So
yeah,
I think they might have just taken it down to just quell all the attention.
I think that's likely. I think they just took it down because there was a lot of misinformation. They just wanted to address it and stop it from spreading, and then, you know, upload it once things were calmer.
Right.
I definitely agree. I don't think it means anything. I do kind of think that the way, at least from the translations that I've seen, the way they talked about it, they kind of hinted that they had started working on it.
Right.
I don't think they anywhere in there confirmed that either they had started working on it, and definitely not that it was done. But they kind of did, the way the banter went, they kind of insinuated that they had started on it.
It sounds like that they had started working on it and or rather they had worked on it. That could mean they started, they will be starting, or they finished. I'll also argue that usually voice work doesn't take that long. So if they are in the middle of it now, it'll only be a few weeks from now before they're done. Which, let's just hypothetically say, which is why I brought it up in this way, because there's like several different things perhaps hinting at a direct. If they are working on it, which again has not been confirmed at all, if they are, I think that pretty much puts it in stone that Breath of the Wild 2 is a big holiday game. But there is no conclusive proof of that, so we can't say either way.
Right.
Yeah. True. It would definitely interesting. But that's cool. That's useful that you do speak Spanish. You know, at least in some capacity, because
Yeah.
And like you're a Nintendo YouTuber also, so like you got it comes in handy, I guess. It comes in handy.
Actually,
I just wish I spoke Japanese. That's one of the more
I
useful
think
languages.
someday, like, my goal is to eventually become a full-time content creator, and when I do that, I feel like, because I have another job, right, which actually pays the bills. I would love it if I get to a point where, you know, this becomes a full-time job, which would actually give me more time. Like, I would put more time into the channel, but I would still have more time because I wouldn't have to have another job. And then maybe I could, like, invest in, like, learning more, like, Japanese. So then I would know, like, English, Spanish, and Japanese. And then maybe I could polish up my Spanish a little bit more. Point is, if I knew English, Spanish, and Japanese, whenever there's some sort of weird translation thing, I'd be like, no, this is what it actually means, guys. Don't believe the fake news. You know? It would be great to learn Japanese. Absolutely. But I see Roby here is saying, I perfectly understand and speak Spanish. If I could listen to this, I could say 100% sure what they said. So, I am not against playing the clip, briefly. So, let me see if I can pull that up real quick. I know you guys don't understand Spanish, so it might be like, okay, well, they're blah, 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 blah. But let me see if I can pull it up without it taking too much time here.
I know just the smallest little bit of Espanol.
Yeah, so Spanish speakers, I'm gonna try and get that clip for you.
En el colegio y así sé un poquito.
Alright, let me see if I can get
I don't
this.
understand anything. No habla español.
Let me turn off the
all that Spanish
Animal Crossing background music for a moment.
Oh,
Okay.
fiery true. If only we could jack info into our brains like the Matrix.
If only.
Learn language instantly. Jonah G says they're Mexican.
So I'm gonna play this, guys. I need to. I know it's at about the 17-minute mark. So give me a second. Do you guys have the stream on? I don't know if you'll be able to hear, you guys won't be able to hear it because you're listening to me.
I have it muted because that goes distracting.
Right, yeah.
I can turn on the street, like it'll be like.
I don't speak Spanish, so I don't really need to hear it.
I'm just trying to see if I can play it from my computer here, because before it had me download an app to listen to the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know a little Spanish, like hola and stuff.
It's starting. It's starting. It's starting.
Oh, sorry.
Llegado a la conversación.
Pero más antiguo
Alright,
me tengo que
guys.
concentrar.
Toda la vida, o sea, habían salido.
17-minute mark.
En castellano hemos, la primera y la segunda tengo toda la información que necesito. Con Dark, yo al revés,
Alright,
por ejemplo,
here we go.
quizá doblando Zelda habría agradecido quizá más información, más contexto y tal, y bueno, te dicen pocas cosas, ¿no? Y en cambio en Dark no quería saber nada, o sea, era como, no me cuentes, Ángel, no me cuentes porque o sea, es que no me voy a enterar de nada. Y para decir frases aisladas, porque además es muy coral, hablan poco, entonces eran frases sueltas de en plan, ¿eso qué significa? Y entonces es como, bueno, para decir esto, y con el actor ya, con su cara ya tengo toda la información que necesito, no necesito más, y nada, pero sí. Con Zelda había poca información. Y pasaba algo que bueno, es como una pequeña comentario, queja, que es como, ahora no, con la segunda parte, que no sé si puedo decir si hemos doblado o no.
Por supuesto que podéis decirlo.
No se sabe,
No se sabe.
Mira, tanto si lo hemos doblado como si no lo hemos doblado, no se puede decir nada.
Vale, yo no recuerdo haberla doblado o no esta segunda parte, ¿vale? No voy a mentir.
Terreno pantanoso.
No, pero...
Okay, so hopefully you guys in the chat who understand Spanish heard that.
That was really.
So everybody else is really awkward.
Okay, so did you guys see my reaction though when I finally heard it?
I did.
Okay, so let me put on our background music before I forget. All right, so basically they just said, "Oh, we can't talk about it, but oh, if we were working on the second part, oh, but we can't talk about it." Like basically along those lines. It was something along those lines. Like they talked about it, but they said they couldn't talk about it. So, my opinion, I do feel like they referenced potentially working on Breath of the Wild 2.
Spanish irony. Chichu SR says he's from Spain, and you can tell they were joking. They were using Spanish irony.
Okay, so there you go. Spanish irony.
Spanish irony.
Yeah.
Dude, I cannot hear Spanish spoken. That is way too fast. Way too fast for me.
Yeah, so like I would say that there's nothing really like clear cut there. Like maybe they were alluding to it, but also it could have just been a joke. So I feel like we can't take this as any confirmation of anything, but it's still interesting to sort of like talk about. And I feel like most people in the chat kind of generally sort of agree with what I'm saying here, right? Like Robeer, they said you can't say that we are working on that. Because a non-disclosure agreement. Like they're not allowed to talk about it.
Wait, but were they saying that they can't say that they're working on it? Or
so Rivali, the male actor,
hey, Cafe con Nintendo, you can't say.
Well, so the people who were talking about it was the male voice actor Rivali. He brought it up, and then the female voice actor was like, "Oh yeah, you can't talk about that. We can't talk about that."
Yeah, that's the translations I saw. It was the person who voiced Zelda was kind of being like, we can't talk about it, and then the Raleigh voice actor was like, oh yeah, like I definitely don't ever remember if I've worked on that or not.
Yeah. So I mean, the real problem isn't like. I think there's a possibility maybe they hinted at it, but there's nothing clear there. They could have just been joking. I don't think they leaked anything necessarily. But the problem is that news outlets were saying, oh, they confirmed they're done with the work on Breath of the Wild 2, and that much is clear. That was not said at all. That's just a straight up lie.
Yeah, not even close.
Yeah. But, you know, this kind of spiraled into a lot of conversation. Oh, can Breath of the Wild 2 come out this year? And a lot of people were like, no, this can't happen. It just doesn't make any sense. I would disagree with that. And I have a lot of reasoning for it. But at the same time, all the reasoning that I may have for it, and I could bring it up again here because I feel like it's like the last time to like make my point as to why I think it could happen before we find out for sure. Regardless of everything that I'll say maybe in a couple of moments about everything why I think it could happen, every reason why I think it could happen, there's one reason alone that could just stop all of that. If Anuma's just like, hey, I have an idea, let's delay this game a few more months so we could execute it. Like, because it's Zelda, that is always a possibility, I think. So, even if it was the plan, potentially for this year, we had rumors earlier in the year that it was, like, the plan. They could have been like, oh, there's something else we could do with this. Let's push this off a little bit to make this game even better. That happens with Zelda. But, I'll say that I think if the game doesn't come out this year, revealing it back at E3 2019 was a mistake. They had no need to announce it then. Like, if they ended things with the Banjo reveal, we would have been fine. We would have been fine.
Yeah, there was really no need. You're right.
So it was already, like, a really awesome E3 Direct, even before that, so...
Yeah. I'm just looking at the chat here just to clarify. Those were the Spanish voice actors for Breath of the Wild. So the Spanish dub of Breath of the Wild, Rivali and Zelda, those are the people in that podcast.
Wait, I thought that they were from Spain.
Spanish.
Are they not?
Yeah, they were in Spain.
They were in Spain. So are those people from Spain?
I'm gonna assume yes, but I don't know. They speak Spanish, that's what I know. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but so they're responsible for the Spanish dub of Zelda, is my point. But if the Spanish Zelda voice actors are already working on the game, which we don't know, then that would also imply the other voice work is being done, that localization is happening. If localization is happening, that means they are in the last few months of development. That they're getting ready to go gold. They're close. But, you know, that's speculation, really. But kind of going back to what I was saying, though, I think it would have been a mistake, because they had enough. They didn't have to reveal it that soon. So that's kind of like one point why I think it makes sense for this year.
That is true.
the other reason, there's a lot of other reasons, but the other reason is because that was a in-game, like they were using the in-game graphics, and that was a story trailer. If you're not familiar with different Zelda interviews, it's come up a few times that Zelda games, the story is done late into development, and what they focus on in the beginning is gameplay and concepts. So the fact that we saw a story trailer implies they were already pretty far into development.
Yes. Not
to mention, we've gotten confirmation they started development on Breath of the Wild 2 back in 2017. So this game's already been in development for about 3 years, and they were building. Go on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I was just gonna say they already have the engine, a lot of the assets, they have a lot for it, and they just kind of, I guess. Obviously they're gonna have. I'm sure they're designing dungeons, traditional Zelda dungeons, but.
So, how long do you guys think the development took for Ocarina of Time?
I don't remember. It was
before that
wasn't that long, or was it? It was 5 years. I don't remember.
Was it 4 years? I think Between Worlds was 92, and then Ocarina was 96, if I remember correct.
I think it was 3 to 5 years.
So 4 years.
I'm trying to figure it out. So, an immediate Google search says 2.5 years.
Okay.
I don't know how true that is.
I feel well, it might be true. I feel like they had to have. No, they might. I don't know. Zelda's kind of in a weird state back then. So, and it was the first entry into 3D consoles, and you'd assume even if they didn't have a prototype or a dev kit, that they would still be working on something. But they might have waited till they knew more about the machine they were making.
Yeah. Let me see here. I'm gonna do a Control F. Hold on, and then I'll point it out to you guys. Development, because the Google search says 2.5 years, but I want to see where it says that, because. Okay. All right, so check this out, guys. Let's see here. So this is a Wata Asks. This is from a few years ago.
Oh.
Today, okay, so I'm gonna read a few. I'm gonna go back a little bit. Gam's Castle at the only setting. Miyamoto, am I the only one today? Iwata, yes, today it's just you. Miyamoto, oh, I have no idea what everyone else said though. Iwata, you're busy preparing for E3, so you couldn't find time to participate together. As we go along, I'll tell you what the original developer said in your absence. Thank you for coming. Miyamoto, no problem. Alright, so, Iwata, today I'd like to look back with you at The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. The development period for it was far longer than other games at the time, and the release got pushed back more than once. Miyamoto, the original... Go on.
Sorry. I was just gonna say it was the first 3D game. Oh, 7 years? Okay, so it was 98, and not Link Between Worlds, I think I said that earlier. Link to the Past was 91. So that's probably 7 years.
Well, there was a gap between them, but that doesn't mean they were developing the game for that long.
Oh yeah, it doesn't mean that they were, but they probably were.
Well,
I don't know.
Let me continue reading, though.
Okay, sorry.
So, today I'd like to look back with you at Legends of Ocarina of Time. The development period for it was far longer than other games at the time, and the release got pushed back more than once. Miyamoto, the original plan was to release Super Mario 64 simultaneously with the Nintendo 64 system, and to bring out the Legends of Ocarina of Time the following year for Christmas. It was scheduled to go on sale at the end of 1997. Yes, it was almost 1 year late. Super Mario 64 3D Action Game came out in 96, Ocarina of Time came out in 98. Iwata, development took about 2.5 years. It must have been terribly hard on the developers, but they all said it was fun. Miyamoto, oh, they said that? Yes, they even said alright when the release was delayed. Really? So here, I mean, that's pretty much it. He said it was 2.5 years. Now, that may not take into...
They were trying to get a whole Zelda game done, a whole 3D Zelda in 1.5 years.
Yeah.
That's insane. No wonder it got delayed.
I think,
wow.
I think part of the thing we should take into consideration, they may have had like some tech demos they were working on before that, right? That may not take that into account. But in terms of like the focused development of Ocarina of Time, before it was 2.5 years. So Ocarina of Time took 2.5 years, but Majora's Mask took less than 1.5 years. So I feel like that's a fair comparison because standards have changed now, right? So if Ocarina of Time, I would say that back in the 90s, Ocarina of Time would have been equivalent to what Breath of the Wild is for today's development standards. Is that fair to say? That they're kind of an equivalent for their respective times? So Majora's Mask was less than 1.5 years. So where's my calculator?
I heard that like broke the developers.
1.5 divided 2.5.
Which is...
So the development time of Majora's Mask is about 60% as long as Ocarina of Time. So how long was the development for Breath of the Wild? You guys see where I'm going here, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think I definitely see where
How
you're
long
going.
was the development for... My point is that it should be shorter, but how much shorter? Yeah, I want to say it's 5 years, but I want to know exactly when. Okay, so yeah, let's just go with 5 years because that seems to be about the right number. All right, so 5 years, 60%. Well, yeah, times 0.6. That's 3 years. So we know that Breath of the Wild 2's development started towards the end of 2017. So if it were to come out holiday 2020, I'm just saying in terms of like comparing Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask and then comparing that to the standard of today, it sort of adds up. But
yeah, it could definitely make sense. It could make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it fits in that, I mean, your math's not wrong, as far as I can tell. So it kind of fits the mold, but I do think there's a few differences between this Majora's Mask.
No, there's tons of differences, for sure.
To play devil's advocate, Breath of the Wild got DLC, Ocarina of Time did not. Also,
that's true.
I feel like even from the trailer we've seen, they've changed a lot about like the graphical makeup of the game, whereas Majora's Mask didn't.
Yeah, Majora's Mask they used the same character models and stuff.
Yeah, they had new assets obviously, but it was all like, well, they are for certain things. But like even like the base character model is different. I feel like that in that way that's kind of the same as Majora's Mask, because the character models were different slightly in that game too, but it was based on the same thing. But Majora's Mask, like even the new assets they had were all based off like the same level of detail, level of graphics, because it was on the same console. Whereas Breath of the Wild sequel is on a much more capable machine. We've already seen that they're, pushing the graphics farther than the original game. Just to play devil's advocate, even though I still think that they could get it out this year.
Yeah, but I agree with you though that you have to take that. It's not a clear cut analogy. It doesn't mean like for sure it has to be 3 years. Like there are a lot of differences.
Sorry.
Yeah, I see some debate about how long Breath of the Wild's development was. With a quick Google search, it says 5 years. So we should take that into account right here. But a lot of that had to do with the physics engine, getting that going. But since that's in place, I think that kind of speeds up development a little bit.
Skyward Sword came out in 2011?
Yeah.
Yes, it came out in 2011.
And they didn't start on Breath of the Wild immediately.
2017, but it was also delayed.
Well, 5 years after 2011. Let me do my math.
It's
5 years after 2011 to 2016.
Oh, yeah, 2016. And in
But
March.
It got delayed to coincide with the release of the Switch.
Right. So March 2017 is like just a few months after 5 years.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So it's basically...
We also know that they didn't... Like, they started working on a new Zelda project, as they do, immediately. But they went through a huge, phase of...
there was a lot of testing.
Concept.
Right. They had Wind Waker HD that they were playing around with.
Right, they had all... I mean, just if you have, the art books and stuff, there's tons of concepts that are just, way different. They didn't know what Breath of the Wild was going to be. I feel like they already know what the Breath of the Wild sequel is going to be. you know?
Yeah. They have a plan in place for sure. So there's that taking consideration that it is a sequel, but there's so much more they want to do with it. So let's kind of like weigh it, right? So you have that it's a sequel, reusing the physics engine, right? There was a story trailer we saw back in 2019, and we know that stories are done way late into development for Zelda games.
Yes.
Do you guys agree with me that if the game doesn't come out this year, they should not have revealed it back in 2019? Like, I feel like that would have been a bit of a mistake. But then
it seems a little early because Nintendo doesn't usually anymore. They don't reveal the games before they're like ready to be, or like before they're gonna. If they're not,
there are some exceptions. I mean, Metroid Prime 4, for example, but they have to restart development for that.
And there were a lot more reasons why
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 4 needed to be announced at that
They
time.
haven't made a Metroid game in years, so like just figuring out how to get a Metroid Prime game for modern standards is way harder than to make a Zelda game. It's just they know what to do with Zelda to an extent. Like they've been making Zelda games consistently for years. They have not been doing that for Metroid Prime. So it's just a different
that's true.
beast.
That is definitely true. Shoot, I was gonna say something about Breath of the Wild, but I forgot what it was.
Okay, I'll give you a moment. So I want to talk about things going against Breath of the Wild. One, Anuma could just decide to add something new, and there the game's delayed, just like that. Like it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if everything's set in place. If he comes up with a good idea, they're delaying that thing because they want to make the game even better. That happens.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, I remember what I was gonna say. I could see. I mean, I could have seen it for holiday of this year. I was like kind of starting to subscribe to the idea that it was going to come out
But
end of this year, but then the whole like pandemic thing.
right, that's the other thing going against it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um.
I think it would be really cool if they could release it in March of 2021.
As an anniversary for the Switch and Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, anniversary number 4,
I think that'd be fine. It would be like an Animal Crossing situation too, because initially Animal Crossing was planned for the holiday of the prior year, and it came out.
I would appreciate it.
because there was no confirmation of that.
Yeah.
So we assume.
I would appreciate it if Breath of the Wild 2 came out in spring of 2021, actually, since I am going to get at least a PlayStation 5, probably the Xbox Series X too.
But I
don't want.
But that's the reason why
to
Nintendo wouldn't want to do that.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, but as a gamer.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, like, but that's another argument for not necessarily Zelda, but to have like a good holiday season. Like, you gotta have something big to compete with that. You do not want to lose out on sales because of that. So they gotta have something, even if it's not Zelda. So some people have been saying, then it will be the Mario remasters. But my problem with that is that the Mario remasters at the end of the day is repurposed content, you know? And it could be really great repurposed content, but at the end of the day, they're games those games already exist. You know, like how much it's 3-in-1, but if that's the big game, if that's like the November release and there's nothing else that kind of is packaged alongside of it, I think that would be
nothing to stop me from just playing my new next-gen systems and mostly ignoring Nintendo.
I think Nintendo needs something big and new. I feel like even if it was Bayonetta 3 and Mario remasters, that would be good, but I don't know if that would be enough to like say stop you from buying a PS5 this holiday, you know?
Oh, yeah, no.
No, but what if it was Breath of the Wild 2 and Mario remasters?
I don't think anything would stop me from buying a PS5 except unless PlayStation just messed up. But it would get me to not only play my PlayStation 5, which is a big deal. You need something big because shiny new tech, like even if you're not super into tech, just having like new shiny technology is always something that like everybody dives into, and then that's just all they think about, you know?
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
You get a new console, and you know everything else is old and boring, even if it's, you know, still really good.
Yeah.
So,
I
you
see
gotta have
that we
something
got.
big to distract.
I see that we got a super chat here from James Clark. Thank you very much, James Clark. I really appreciate it.
And a raid. He raided you too.
The James Clark raid. Cool.
Yes. Clark raid. There
so-
was DJ Wolf, Sir Walkenstein, Octo George, Tarek, Brendan, and there was someone else. Fire Emblem TJ.
So
And it's Clark.
I want to address an argument I've seen brought up recently. So a lot of, and again, I totally agree with the possibility that Breath of the Wild 2 is a 2021 title. I'm not all in on 2020. Like, I'm sticking to that prediction because I've been sticking to it since last year. But I'm totally aware of the possibility that I could very well be wrong, right? But a lot of people have been arguing that it's not even remotely possible because Nintendo would have been marketing Breath of the Wild 2 already. And I disagree with that logic. Let me explain why.
Yeah.
By that logic, that would mean nothing else is coming out this year because Nintendo hasn't marketed anything else beyond Paper Mario. Now maybe you could say, oh, but Breath of the Wild 2 is much bigger than that, so they don't have to market the smaller things. They can announce those a couple months in advance, but they need something bigger would have to be marketed then. Fine, but then that would mean that you think there's nothing even close to the sales potential of Breath of the Wild 2 coming out this year. I would say that the Mario remasters totally would be a similar sales potential, if not greater, and that still isn't being marketed. So
I definitely disagree with this. Yeah, I 100%. I don't think it's too late. In fact, it's just a little bit later than when I thought they were going to start marketing it, which was
E3.
June. E3,
right,
yeah.
but that was canceled. Yeah.
So if they have January 20th, maybe that's the date. If they talk about Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel there, announce it for 2020, I think that's perfectly fine. It's a little bit later than usual, but I mean, with COVID, that's
the standards have been changed
how it
now.
goes.
Paper Mario was announced less than 2 months ago.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense with COVID. Also, I was gonna point out the Switch and Breath of the Wild. That hype cycle. Well, okay, technically not. That wasn't the hype cycle of Breath of the Wild, but for the Switch itself, revealed October 20th of 2016. Then it came out March 3rd, 2017.
Yeah,
say it again.
It's very short. Yeah.
I missed that. Could you say that again?
Oh yeah. Hype cycle for the Switch, console. Announced October 20th, revealed October 20th, 2016. Came out March 3rd, 2017. So that's less than 6 months.
Right. The entire Switch was hyped and marketed in less than half a year, which would be similar for a game.
Insane.
Yeah, so I think it doesn't have to be Breath of the Wild 2, guys. But whatever the holiday lineup is, and I say lineup because I think there's going to be more than one game that Nintendo's going to have between July and December, all of that's going to be marketed starting, assuming, this month. So whatever it is, like, there's going to be some big releases that are going to sell really well. Nintendo can market that now. That's fine. We've seen examples, like I think your example of the Switch is a great example, actually, because, October to March, and that was not a pandemic time. That was just normal time. And
yeah, that was regular.
So that 5 months, who was it that brought it up? It was Darcy. I actually really like your comment. Thank you. Darcy said, I still admire Andres for his commitment to Breath of the Wild 2 2020, but do you think the less time for hype and marketing will impact its potential success, or will the next 5 months be enough? Well, to Kazoo's point, like, they did that for the Switch and its launch lineup. So, yeah, for a single game, for sure. Absolutely.
I think it would be too short I think for Zelda, it'd be a little bit too short if they hadn't announced it already. Like, the fact that we already know it exists, we just need the big blowout and then the release.
That's actually another
barely
point. Go on.
Any different, if, assuming COVID didn't happen, E3 had come along, that would be, the natural time for this to happen, which was just, a month ago. So I really don't think it's that different.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? You brought up something that made me think. Oh, and also that. But I completely lost it. But I'll say this. I think
it's already announced.
Yes, that's it. That's already announced. Like, people are assuming that Breath of the Wild 2 will take longer, but we're believing in things that we don't know about to come out when they haven't been announced. Like, why not expect something that's already been announced for a while as opposed to something that hasn't been announced at all? You know? But obviously some things are not as ambitious, and they held off those announcements, and they're easier to put out, for sure. But I'm just saying, like, I think it makes more sense to be hopeful for Breath of the Wild than, say, Earthbound HD World.
It's more,
you know,
hopeful for to believe in anything than that.
Well,
Earthbound HD World.
HD World. That's right.
If that's happening, what's next? Earth's flat.
Earth's flat world. HD.
Yeah.
4K.
The Earth's flat.
Definitive edition. So the other thing that I wanted to address was the whole pandemic situation, because I don't think the pandemic situation is leading to delays that are as extensive as some people are thinking. Like, it's led to delays, but these delays aren't like 6 months. Like, they're like a few weeks or something. Like, for example, The Last of Us 2 was delayed, right? But by how much?
Just like a month. Well, I think it got delayed several times. The last delay, I think, was just like a month or something. Like
Right.
A few months. Month or a few months. It wasn't that long.
Yeah, I'm reading here. The game was originally set to be released on May 29th. However, Naughty Dog announced on April 4th that while The Last of Us 2 was finished, they could not ship. Okay, well, this is different. So the game is already done. It was already complete with development, but it came out June 19th.
Yeah.
So that's a little different. But the point is that developers are very transitioned to remote development. Smash DLC is still coming out. You know, yeah, there was a little bit of a delay, but it's still happening. I think the point I'm trying to make here is that it could lead to delays, but those delays aren't going to be by a year or 6 months, maybe a couple months, but nothing that significant, if that makes sense, because they never stopped working. They just had to figure out how they're going to continue working. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So delays will have and will happen, but they're not going to be to the point where those games are going to be so far off. They're just going to be pushed up a little bit.
That seems to be the case. Definitely with, Sony and Microsoft, they haven't really announced that many delays. Last of Us 2 is really the only one.
Yeah.
And it was just because, at that point in time, they couldn't do
Right.
it because things were closed.
Right.
Which isn't really the case anymore. And I think remote development is something that, will get better despite how the virus does. Like, it doesn't matter how long the virus continues, because remote development is going to get better despite it. Obviously, it's not as efficient as working at a desk in your office at the studio and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But still, I agree. I don't think the delays are going to be that bad. Nobody else has really been talking about delays. Like, none of the other video game companies have had any delays that really, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal.
So, Cyberpunk 77 was originally planned for April 16th, but was delayed to November. But it's been delayed multiple times.
That game's been delayed so many times.
I don't know if that's entirely because of the pandemic that it's been delayed.
I don't think they cited the pandemic as a reason. I don't remember it being said that the pandemic had anything to do with it. They might have, but I don't remember it.
I'm looking it up. I don't know. It's not my...
I don't really know a whole lot about Cyberpunk, so...
I'm looking at a report about this. See, here it says that the game was delayed. CD Projekt Red needs more time for balancing and bug fixes. Okay, so I'll just pull this up, what they said about their game when they delayed it. It's just to see if it was because of the pandemic or not, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so we have decided to move the launch of Cyberpunk 2077 from September 17th to November 19th. What is this? I don't even. Okay. Those of you who are familiar with, I don't feel like reading. I'll just read it. With the way we make games, that we won't ship something which is not ready when it's done. It's just not a phrase we say because it sounds right. It's something we live by even when we know we'll take the heat for it. At the same time, we're fully aware it's just a few months. Anyway, for traditional time, it's one of the hardest games we can make. Is despite I want reasons. Where are the reasons?
I think the reasons is just that the game's just really big.
It's not ready.
It's just
Right.
not ready.
It wasn't.
It's really big and ridiculously ambitious, so it's not done.
It had nothing. It wasn't specifically because of the pandemic. It would have been delayed if there was no pandemic. Is the point?
Yeah, I don't think it
Yeah.
had anything to do with the pandemic.
Yeah.
So if there was no pandemic, it wouldn't have been
Right.
delayed.
The simple point here is that the pandemic, while it can lead to delays, it's not going to lead to significant delays on its own. Like, if a game is delayed more than a couple months, it's because of other reasons. So, I saw that the Joker added me. Hello there. That's true, but at the same time, Metroid Prime 4 has been announced for years now. I think this is in reference to when I said that, like, Breath of the Wild 2 was announced in 2019. Like, it makes more sense to expect that than something that's unannounced. But back to your point, Metroid Prime 4 has been announced for a while. Yes, but the development for that was restarted. They had to completely scrap the project and start from scratch again. So that's a different situation. If they never scrapped the game, it probably would have been out already. So
yeah, it probably would have come out last holiday.
Right. So I don't think, or it would have been like, or it would have been marketed and we would have known about it already. It would have been coming out this year. Either way, point is that game had to have been scrapped. So that's a different situation. Yeah. But you know, we'll see what happens. It's soon, guys. We're gonna find out what's gonna happen soon.
Yeah, within like the next few days, probably.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Next few days or weeks, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think we've covered most of the topics. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on?
We really have covered most of the topics. Shoot, I don't know.
Well, I mean, we could go back to the direct thing. I mean, just to like summarize, because I see a few people are stepping in now. What we've discussed for so far tonight, we've talked about how there's a rumor for the Nintendo Direct to happen on July 20th, which is on a Monday, which is untraditional, but this entire year has been untraditional, so maybe it could happen.
Oh, yes.
We talked about how there was a Paper Mario controversy. People are a little upset about how there's not a traditional experience system right now. But I'm personally cautiously optimistic. I think you guys are as well, right? Like you're not down on the game. You think it might still be pretty good.
I'm actually looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be, at the very least, as good as Color Splash. No, at the very least, I think it'll probably be good as Super Paper Mario, to be honest.
I'll say that when I heard that, I didn't watch the Treehouse immediately, but I heard the news of the game not having an experience system, and then I watched the Treehouse, and I was like, oh, you know what? I think this could still be pretty good. I like everything, most of what I'm seeing, so I think the game can still be pretty good.
I think it's gonna be really good, yeah.
Yeah, so we talked about that. We also talked about the Bakugan controversy. I feel like our basic conclusion, right, was that if you have something to announce, don't get a whole bunch of people, and you don't want to say what it is. Don't have a whole bunch of people come to watch it if it's one single announcement, because most of those people aren't going to be into it. If you want to announce something and have it be a build-up for a secret announcement, reveal, do it during a direct where there's several things like that. That way not everyone is disappointed, because there's usually going to be something for everyone. But if you want to talk about one particular game, you do it the way they did Paper Mario. Just drop that trailer and let it do its job. If people like it, people like it. If people hate it, well, I mean, they hate it, but I mean, it's not going to be because they're disappointed, because you built up an expectation and anticipation all for it to be something they don't care about. You know?
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, if you're gonna if you're gonna do that, at least like put it in the game that meets that expectation. Like if it was actually 2D Metroid, that would have been awesome. Or a Shantae game, you know.
Reading the crowd. That's important.
Yeah, you really gotta understand, you know, when I mean, that's a big thing about PR in general. It's like, when I say this, you know, how are they gonna react? What are they gonna think?
Yeah. And then, we also brought up how we feel like Suda51 can read the crowd, and he's been teasing No More Heroes 3 for a while, and I feel, personally, I just think that that's him saying, this thing's totally coming out this year, get ready, it's gonna get a blowout soon. And I think that blowout's gonna happen during a Nintendo Direct.
I mean, typically developers who are about to delay their game don't want to just...
They start being quiet about it.
Yeah, they start kind of backing off, being quiet, avoiding, you know,
right,
PR in general.
Yeah. Going beyond that, what else did we touch on? We talked about how there was a statement from Nintendo about their next generation system because they were asked by the shareholders. Basically, they said they really like what they've accomplished with the Switch. They're focusing on one platform. They like how the Switch is a flexible system that appeals to different sort of lifestyles and ways of playing. And they're going to continue with that moving forward. So that leads us to believe that the next generation Switch will be something along the lines of what the Switch is. So don't worry, Nintendo has realized that they've struck gold, and they're gonna stick to that. So
they have struck gold. That is true.
Yeah. And then besides that, we're circling all the way back. We talked about the Spanish Nintendo podcast with the Breath of the Wild voice actors. It wasn't clear what they said. People assumed that they said they were done with the work, but that was not the case. If you understand Spanish and you listen to it, that's not what was said. It's a little ambiguous in my opinion, at least, well, mainly because my understanding of Spanish is not perfect, especially for the Spain dialect. But basically, they joked about maybe working out, but not being able to talk about it, which basically means nothing. So
yeah, there's nothing inclusive.
Yeah, but but if they were working on the voice work for Breath of the Wild 2, that would imply the game is nearing completion. So, we'll see.
So that's why I can't
if we get a Nintendo Direct in July, and they announce Breath of the Wild 2 for holiday 2020, I'll be like, yeah, they totally slipped up. They did work on Breath of the Wild 2, and they shouldn't have brought it up.
Yeah.
But we don't know that, so we'll see. And that's pretty much everything we've covered tonight.
Yeah, and that's pretty much everything. Somebody asked in the chat, where was it? I don't know. Somebody else, I think it was Darcy, what have we been playing? What have you guys been playing?
I have been playing.
I see it now. What have you guys been playing?
Just Smash and Xenoblade. That's it. I haven't played Xenoblade yet. I haven't had that much time, to be honest with you.
I've been mostly playing Final Fantasy 15. It's been
cool.
Fun. Yeah. So
which one is that? Is that the MMO?
No, it's the newest one. It's the one that kind of everybody compared to Xenoblade Chronicles X when that game came out.
Oh, really? Okay. And are you enjoying that, Brandon?
Yeah, it's really good.
Good.
I'm like very close to the end of the game. It's not as long as I thought it was gonna be. I'm about 30 hours into it, almost done. And I didn't do every side quest, but I did a pretty good amount of them. So if I feel like even if you did like literally everything in the game, it might be like a 60-hour game. Unless you're just like really slow at games or something.
Like me.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't have like a ton of content. I feel like you can tell that game went through many different like redesigns and stuff. Like it was a like the development went through a ton of stuff. So they had to change the game a ton of times, and you can kind of tell like the game feels a little bit like it doesn't have like full direction in its story and gameplay. But it's still a really good game. It just kind of feels like it's like multiple projects, multiple different ideas all put into one, and they don't completely work together.
Oh, I see.
So it kind of feels like it lacks direction at certain points. But when it does have direction and like it's on track and you can tell what they were going for, it's really good.
Oh, cool. Cool. Yeah, I've just been doing I like regular streams. For those of you watching at home, I'm actually a live streamer. Those of you who don't know. And
Her channel is linked in the description below, guys.
And you can visit my website, theyellowkazoo.live.
You know, I saw that earlier today.
What?
I saw that for the first time earlier today. Your website.
Where'd you see it from? Oh, did you go on my channel and then you saw it?
So when I was getting the link to your channel earlier,
Yeah.
I just searched the Yellow Kazoo and I saw your website.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Epic.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so anyway, I've been playing a lot of Splatoon recently. Animal Crossing, that's been a big one. The fishing tournament was yesterday, and it was lit.
Didn't know it was yesterday. I should have been.
Oh man, did you miss it?
I haven't been playing Animal Crossing at all. I'm sorry. It's just not my cup of tea.
Mario Maker. Oh, love Mario Maker, especially the multiplayer. It's a laggy disaster, but it's my laggy disaster.
So bad.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's nigh on unplayable depending on your connection.
I haven't even bothered. Yeah. So I'll just point out, guys, that we are nearing the end of the discussion. So if you have any final questions, yeah, this is your chance. Yeah, I've just been playing Smash and Xenoblade. That's it. I've been trying to get better at Smash Brothers. I'm working on some moves with Link, and right now I'm still on the Fallen Hand in Xenoblade. I want to try and finish it this week. I have a couple days off coming up, so I might push through Xenoblade. So make some videos, don't worry, and get ready for the Paper Mario release at the end of this week.
Yes.
Nice.
Because I plan on playing that. But there's a couple things I want to read here in the chat. So Terry Sivertson added me, with the fact that WayForward helped make the upcoming Bakugan game shows they're able to make a 3D game, and hopefully it leads to a 3D Shantae game. Hey, they are venturing out, trying other bigger things. Maybe this works out really well for them. That may end up being the case. Yeah.
I think Waluigi has such a good chance. I think we deserve him at this point. What? You think Waluigi has a good chance? No.
Prediction for Fires Past 2, anyone? So, I think we might see a couple other spirits added to the game. In terms of the next character reveal, Brandon, you and I had a little bit of debate about this last week, but I'm sticking to it, man. If we're getting a main Nintendo Direct, if it's a main Nintendo Direct, like if it's a Direct Mini or something, or a Mario Direct, like if it's something like that, no. But if it's a main Nintendo Direct, it's basically like a replacement for the E3 presentation. If it's something like that where they outline the holiday lineup, then I for sure believe there will be a character reveal during this point. And I think it'll be a third-party character because there'll be a larger audience paying attention to this. And not just the Nintendo faithful.
Nice.
I don't agree.
It's okay, my feelings aren't hurt that much.
Interesting. James Clark asked, do you think the new Zelda will be part of a trilogy with BotW and BotW 2 being the first two?
I'm gonna say probably not. Yeah.
The Zelda team really likes to try new things all the time.
Yeah.
New art styles, new gameplay mechanics. Like, I don't think they do a third Breath of the Wild. I feel like the closest they've ever done that would be continuing like the Wind Waker story through 3 games.
You could argue
that's like different.
So like there's Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and then it sort of divides, right? It's like Ocarina of Time is like 2 trilogies, because you have Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and then it leads to Twilight Princess, or it leads to Wind Waker, but they're different links, different stories, so it's not like a connected trilogy, right? I'll say though that it makes sense for there to be a sequel for Breath of the Wild, because this game is the best-selling Zelda game of all time. Hear me out for a second, guys. Breath of the Wild started off selling really well, breaking all sorts of records in terms of Zelda sales. But then Mario Odyssey came out and just passed it. But recently, Breath of the Wild caught back up to Mario Odyssey, and they're both, last I checked, at 17.41 million. Breath of the Wild is actually higher than Mario Odyssey. They're both, but basically the same amount.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy.
It is crazy that Zelda's beating Mario. That's huge. That is huge.
That is crazy because Mario's like the Mickey Mouse of the gaming world.
Right, and we're living in a world where Zelda is not just like it's not like a 1A 1B thing. It's like Breath of the Wild has an opportunity to kind of pass the main Mario. You know, that's nuts. I'll show you here.
That is pretty nuts.
Switch games. I'm going to Nintendo. That's not what I don't want your best. No, it's not what I was looking for. I wanted like their. This is fine. Yeah, this wiki is fine. So here, as you can see here, guys, Mario Kart Deluxe 24.77 million, Smash at 18.84 million, then Breath of the Wild at 17.41, above Mario Odyssey, which is also at 17.41. It's also worth noting that Sword and Shield's at 17.37. That game came out less than a year ago, so this is probably gonna pass both of them.
Probably.
Yeah. But it's still nuts. Still nuts how Breath of the Wild is just taken to another level. Just so going back to Clark's point, or question, Nintendo is creating the sequel in part because it makes sense to capitalize on the success of Breath of the Wild. But I also think they want this game to stand on its own. And I would love it if this game could potentially outsell Breath of the Wild. That would be crazy. I don't know if that's possible because sequel, it's challenging for sequels to do that. But if they don't call it Breath of the Wild 2, like if you call it Breath of the Wild 2, I think you're already like shooting yourself in the foot in terms of having the potential to outsell Breath of the Wild.
This is the sequel. Like I don't need to play the first one.
Right. It's usually people will play the first one first, so it creates a barrier if you put a 2 there. But if it just has a different name,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they'll go the route of, I have to play the first one to understand this one.
Yeah. Exactly. Like I'm not gonna play Last of Us 2 until I play Last of Us 1. Which is not gonna do it.
I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna play.
Especially for that, that's story based.
Oh yeah.
So, Nintendo wants to capitalize on this huge potential. So, could they make a trilogy where if Breath of the Wild 2 does super, super well and it does somehow pass Breath of the Wild 1 or is at least close, then maybe like, if Breath of the Wild 2 sells 20 million lifetime or 25 million, and then if Breath of the Wild 1 sells 25 million, then Breath of the Wild 2 sells 20 million, then they're like, well, maybe we should have a third one and sell 15 million. Maybe they could do that. Or maybe they could just still use that engine, make it clear that it's still like the Wild engine, but it's a whole new story, different continuity, which is what they usually do.
I would love it if they did that. Wii U tech demo art style.
That would do it. If you want to pass Breath of the Wild, you say that you're using the Breath of the Wild engine, but you use that art style like that, people would go nuts. They would just go absolutely nuts. I think there's so much potential for that. But I see that. I feel like that could potentially happen on like the next Switch, because I think that would be too graphically intensive for the Switch.
It is a very demanding art style, especially if they lean even heavier into it, but even more.
Right. It would look better than
it's
tech
kind
demo.
of an old. Yeah, it's kind of an old tech demo. So there's a lot of new techniques that are being used nowadays that aren't in it.
Yeah.
So if they put those in there on a Switch 2 with the power of that, dude, that's what we want.
Yeah. So, I would like to see that. So, yeah, I guess to answer the question fully, I do not expect a trilogy, but we're still gonna get that wild style of gameplay. Like that's just gonna be a staple for Zelda moving forward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. It's.
I'll also say though,
gameplay.
that if they ever return to the Hero of Time, that would make that officially a trilogy, and I'd be all for it. And,
true.
Yeah.
That's what needs a trilogy.
Mask, then the another potential game of the Hero of Time. That would be pretty interesting.
I'd love it.
Maybe we'll finally.
What if it uses that style?
Link is dead theory.
I mean, there's the Ocarina of Time remake for 3DS. Then that kind of technically.
I think the Link is dead theory has already been disproven, because the Link you actually see the Link from Majora's Mask in Twilight Princess as the spirit.
Oh, true. As the dude.
Yeah, he's older.
The dude who teaches you the
right.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Him. He teaches you stuff, and he's lived a long life. Like he was like a middle-aged soldier or something. So he lived a life. He may have had a family. So yeah, he didn't die as a kid.
Link having a family. Who did he have a family with? Did he have with
I don't know. With who?
Did he have someone else?
I don't know. Maybe with the
I
Saria.
don't think with Zelda.
The Great
Maybe
Fairy.
with that farm girl. What's her name?
Mulan, not Mulan.
Malon.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, with Malon. There you
Yeah.
go.
Or there's also Saria, but she's a Kokiri, so that's
Dude, that would be kind of creepy.
It's like she would. It's weird because
It'd be
like
weird.
she's older than him probably, but
I think she is a
physically
lot older
her
than him.
body is not.
Child.
So yeah.
She's a wee bab.
So that's the thing.
Skyward Sword be a good remake. Yes. Frickin' remake Skyward Sword. Frickin' remake it.
Yeah.
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 So how
Makes sense.
pissed would you guys
Skyward
be,
Sword
or
HD,
excited, if they announced Skyward Sword HD this year for the Zelda release?
Remake Skyward Sword. Remake Skyward Sword.
Oh, you have that too. Or well, I think your box is actually different than mine.
I do.
But I was
So here's my thing. I'm all for
you're
Skyward
cool.
Sword HD, but I feel like it would be weird for it to come out this year. Just because we're already getting the Mario remasters, we're already getting Pikmin 3 Deluxe supposedly, we're already getting Mario 3D World Deluxe. We just got Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Like that's a lot of like remasters in a year. If you also throw in Skyward Sword HD, So in my perfect world, and obviously my perfect world isn't necessarily reality, but my perfect world, Breath of the Wild 2 comes out this year, and then next year we get another trilogy, not like the Mario remasters, not a trilogy, but suppose the Mario remasters are 3D World, not 3D World, are Sunshine Galaxy and 64, right, as a 3-game collection. What if for Zelda's anniversary next year, we get Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, and Skyward Sword HD?
Whoa, that would be
That would be
epic.
See, that's like my perfect world. So I get my Breath of the Wild this year, and I get a collection for the other HD Zeldas next year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like that a lot. Especially since they're not... Because I could totally see them releasing, like, them each, all three $60 each. It would be horrible.
But if you release the Mario
Still
remasters
pay it.
this year as a $60 package, you kind of changed... You set a precedent,
Yeah,
you know?
You totally did. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would... Yeah. Also, I would not pay $60 for Twilight Princess or Wind Waker HD. That's not happening.
I'd pay for Wind Waker HD.
I got Twilight Princess HD and I got Wind Waker HD because I never played either of them before. So there you go.
Would you buy them again for $60 each
No.
in 2021?
No, I wouldn't. I don't.
I would hope that at least Twilight Princess and Wind Waker would get bundled together.
Yeah.
At least. Hopefully. All three.
With Skyward Sword. That just makes sense to me. Actually, but here's another interesting point. I've heard, and I want to pull up an interview because I don't remember specifically, that supposedly Nintendo wants to release at least one Zelda game every year. You guys know what I'm referring to?
I do recall
Yeah,
this.
I
Yes.
remember that. I remember that.
I do
So
remember that.
what
They
if that's
did
still
say
the
it.
truth?
Maybe it is.
If it is the truth, then what's the Zelda game this year?
I would hope Breath of the
But
Wild.
there isn't one. Maybe it's BotW too. You never. Maybe it's Skyward Sword HD. I'm holding out hope, you guys.
I'd still be hyped if they announced Skyward Sword HD for this year, and then we're like, okay, you know, Breath of the Wild sequels coming out next year.
My thing is just that if you have the Mario, I'm just gonna say it again. If you have Xenoblade Definitive Edition, if you have 3D World Deluxe, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and the Mario remasters, and then you have Skyward Sword HD all in the same year,
I know it's a lot of remasters.
That's just.
Skyward Sword though.
I'd still be happy enough, yeah. But I understand, like, that's to the general audience. I don't think that's a good.
So, according to Eurogamer, Nintendo is keen to have a Zelda game launch on Switch every year. So, this is my take on that. That's their plans. I think they're probably right that that's what Nintendo has wanted. But I'll say that we did initially hear that Breath of the Wild 2 was planned for 2020. So, what I think makes sense is either A, it's Breath of the Wild 2, or they initially planned for it for them, but it couldn't make the cut. So they didn't have a Zelda game ready for 2020. So this year won't have a Zelda game. That's what I think. And because I just don't see Skyward Sword HD coming out this year with all the other remasters. I'll be happy to be wrong. It's just, I feel like it's just too much. After a certain point, you have to kind of like spread that out a little bit.
Yeah, you do.
Even if it's done. Even if Skyward Sword HD is done, I just don't see them releasing it this year because I feel like that's a little bit too much in terms of repurposed content. Like, for example, supposedly Metroid Prime Trilogy HD has been done for a long time too. They could come out with that, but they haven't. I feel like they're kind of waiting for the right time to release that. So
it's fine. All I'm saying is
I'll take it. I think
Metroid Prime is the one exception to that. I feel like you could have launched that anytime and people would buy it.
Yeah. Brandon, I'm really with your theory at this point that Metroid 2D Metroid comes out this year, Prime Trilogy comes out next year, and then Metroid Prime 4 is the 2022 game.
Yeah.
I'd love it for being a Holiday 2021 game, but it just doesn't seem realistic at this point.
Yeah.
There's a manual in here for the Wii Remote.
Wow. But
Wii Remote controller.
That was definitely my theory. Before, I could have seen, either order Metroid Prime first and then a 2D Metroid and then Metroid Prime 4. But now that, we're seeing all these other rumors for remasters, I think it will be like 2D Metroid, just so it's something new.
Watch it be Prime Trilogy HD, and they also announced Skyward Sword HD. So it's 3D World Deluxe, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, Prime Trilogy HD, Skyward Sword HD,
oh god,
and Mario remasters. And the entire year is just repurposed games.
We'd literally just be playing repurposed games
the entire year.
Entire 3D
literally
console
just
generations.
You know what the rumors are, right? The rumors are if you exclude Metroid, which some insiders are saying Metroid's not coming out this year, and some now I don't know if they really should be that credible, but that's what they've said. And also some insiders have said that Zelda's not coming out this year. They're just like, oh, there's no way. But from my perspective, it's like they haven't heard anything, so that's just their assumption. For both. But what's being said is that basically this year's plans are Mario remasters, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and 3D World Deluxe, meaning that the only original games from Nintendo that are major to come out this year are Animal Crossing, Paper Mario, and that's
ridiculous. That'd be insane.
Especially because Nintendo has said on multiple occasions already to their investors that their 2020 plans have not been delayed at all. Like if they had been saying, "Oh man,
that's true."
So it's just kind of like.
Although I don't know if they were being too optimistic. I don't know.
I think
there's definitely a bit of optimism in those briefings, just because they want to make investors happy. But
they said it multiple times.
You don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to set expectations up to not.
You want to be forthcoming.
Fall through.
You want to be forthcoming because they're investing.
If there's bad news, you want to say it as soon as possible, because the longer you let that hold, the longer you put that on hold, the worse it's gonna be.
Yeah.
True. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Beverly added me. I wonder if they add Rex and Pyra in Smash Bros. Ultimate as DLC 7. So, I'm all in on Rex and Pyra for a lot of reasons. One, because with Min Min, the whole spirit idea is out the window. So if you think spirits can't become characters, well, you're wrong, because Min Min was a spirit and is actually a playable character now. So there's that. Secondly, there were 2, like, Nintendo games that came out in 2017 that people were like, oh, these need to have representation of Smash Brothers. It was ARMS and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. We just got the ARMS one. ARMS came out first. So if you go by that logic, it would make sense that sooner or later they'll also announce a Xenoblade 2 character. I think that makes sense. And it does seem like, not just doesn't seem, we know that Sakurai wanted Rex in Smash Bros. He literally told us that during the Smash Direct.
He literally told us that he wanted an ARMS character in Smash, and now look at what happened. There's an ARMS character.
So I think, they're happening. I just think it's kind of, when, right? And considering that we just got Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, it does kind of make sense to maybe push another Xenoblade character in Smash Brothers. But I'm not expecting this character right now. Mainly just because I feel like there's going to be a couple third-party characters. And I feel like during this Direct, when there will be a reveal, it'll be for a third-party character. But if it ends up being Rex and Pyra, I'm all in on that too. Because again, if Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition just came out, it might make sense to announce that character to capitalize on that. So I could see it going either way. But I'm going to side a little bit more with it being a third-party character that comes first.
I mean, with the first pass, we got a ton of... we got 4 third-party characters and then 1 first-party. And now we have 1 first-party character again. And so maybe this is the time when we see more first-parties. I don't know.
Right, I mean, there could just be a lot. It could all be first-party. What if it's all first-party?
We could see... I wouldn't be super surprised if it was 3 and 3. Or 4 and 2 in favor of Nintendo IPs.
Yeah, I think there's going to be at least a couple third parties.
I think it...
I would be fine if it was all Nintendo.
I think there will be at least 2 third parties. Probably 3 or 4 in my opinion.
Rayman and Crash. Or Geno. People have been talking about Geno lately. I don't know if people are just trying to will it into existence or if there's some...
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say for sure. Geno's like a Nintendo faithful kind of character to add. So
yeah,
we shall see. Maybe Geno's like the final character, because like remember how they showed that 6th spot? It was almost like, oh, here's like a little bonus. Like maybe that. Just because I feel like Geno is not super known outside of like the Smash and Nintendo faithful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And doesn't have like the largest legacy, but is a character that Nintendo and Smash fans have wanted for a very long time. So I wouldn't be surprised if like they save that last character for Geno or something. But I'll say that
I feel like
Geno
is definitely big in the Smash Nintendo community, but I feel like he's so big in the community that even people outside the community know who he is.
Like, I guess the hype behind it people would just get excited about it. Like, people would just talk about
I feel like there's so much excitement in the Nintendo and Smash communities that a lot of times people outside of communities look for the reaction of the community to see if they should be excited or not, because they don't really know what's going on. Exactly. So if they see like this huge amount of hype for it, they're going to be hyped too, even if they don't really fully understand why. That's just kind of how communities and people, that's kind of how that relationship works.
So I see your point. I can see people there would be a lot of positive attention for it. So I
mean, look how much attention Metroid Prime 4 gets, and have you seen the sales numbers for Metroid Prime? Like,
dude, people
it's nowhere near.
Bro, 2D Metroid it's gonna do so well. Like,
I think it will.
Like, I think it's gonna sell over 5 million. I'd love it if it could go over 10 million. Dude, if Metroid Prime goes over 10 million, you know what that means, right?
Yeah,
it means more Metroid Prime.
Might. I don't think a 2D Metroid will. I think a 2D Metroid would sell like a couple million.
Yeah. Metroid Prime 4 though, if that baby
I think that game
exceeds 10 million,
will sell like 5-10 million.
I want it to sell 10 million. I want it to be like Splatoon.
If it's even like decent, I think it'll sell really well because there's just so much hype behind it.
Yeah, and so I mentioned that I wanted to be like Splatoon or something. There's some discussion about it having some multiplayer in there, because we talked about it like a couple weeks ago, how they hired someone from like the Black Ops team, Call of Duty Black Ops, and they worked on a lot of like the online stuff. So they could be gearing up for a strong online component. So, and I think that makes sense because they need Metroid to sell. They need it to sell, and online games sell. So there's that.
Do.
I'll also say though that we've seen that the really good single-player campaign games, like the big AAA ones, also still sell. Like Breath of the Wild, Last of Us 2, God of War, Mario Odyssey, all those games have done really well. And that's because there's still an audience for that, but it's usually kind of like the really big adventure games can make it, but like if it's like a smaller project, it kind of needs to be more of like an indie thing, if that makes sense. In order for it to like be something that performs really well. So
that is true.
Yeah.
Vintage asks, what if the champions from BotW were fighters? I think that would be really interesting because they could do like one, main one, and then just like make all the rest of them like skins for them.
I feel like
if they were going to do one, they would do Urbosa.
Urbosa's so cool. Urbosa's so cool, but she has swords. People be pissed.
Final Smash could be her snap, Urbosa's Fury.
I think it would be the Divine Beast.
Yeah.
Oh,
just like
true.
shooting a giant laser.
Right.
You're probably right.
I think her lightning would be a part of her attack. Like,
probably.
Yeah. I think she would basically be
right.
like, she'd be like, maybe like, imagine, is there any two-handed sword users in, oh, she's not a two-handed sword user. She'd be like Link, but with less range attacks and more electricity.
I think she'd be a lot faster than Link.
And taller.
Yeah.
And taller.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Why are Hylians just so short?
It's not that Hylians are short, it's like Gerudos are huge.
That's true. But everything in Zelda is way bigger. Hylians are just...
Well, Link's also like tall.
In a comparative universe where there are multiple, species, or what would you call that? Races or something?
Races.
I feel like species...
Species. Yeah, whatever. You guys know what I mean. But in a world, where I guess you would consider humans to be short. You wouldn't consider other things to be tall. You just consider Hylians to be short.
I guess so. It's kind of a weird little debate, like between races and species, because like if it's species, that implies that they're not compatible romantically. But we see that Mipha's in love with Link. We know that there are side quests to pair Gerudos with Hylians. So
that's definitely races. But if you go to like a Zora, sorry, I interrupted you.
Mipha's no, we were on the same page. Like Mipha was in love with Link, but she's a fish people.
She's a Zora, and I'm pretty sure Zoras and Hylians are different species.
But there are some side quests where there's a couple Zoras, or at least one Zora who's in love with a human. So they get into a relationship. So I mean, it implies that they can have a romantic relationship. So if you can have a romantic relationship, I feel like you can have a family, maybe, or I don't know. Point is that I don't want to see it as interspecies because that would be weird. So I'm assuming they're not different species; they're just different types of people. And there's some people can swim and breathe underwater. Some people can eat rocks. I don't know.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that.
It definitely does seem like interspecies. Even though that is kind of weird, but I guess you have to look at it like it's not interspecies like we would think in our world.
Right.
Like,
it's not like
it's not
it's not
a
bestiality.
human and a dog or something. it's like
Oh,
a
yeah.
Zora and a Hylian.
They're both sentient beings.
Yeah. They're people. So the races. That's how I see it. Or maybe it could be like Homo sapiens and Neanderthals.
Oh yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know if a Homo sapien can breed with a Neanderthal. Is there any scientists here?
Where are all the scientists in this Nintendo podcast?
Yeah.
Chat?
Yeah.
Where did this conversation go? SMH, Kool-Aid, true.
I'm sorry. I just found it interesting. So.
It is.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I think it's interesting. I mean, I'm down, but you know.
Yeah. So, what is this? Akusa Cinderace for Pokemon Rep. My problem with Cinderace is not that I don't like Cinderace. I love Cinderace. But there's already a Charizard and an Incineroar. So should we add a third fire starter as a Pokemon rep in the Smash DLC? That's where I'm like, I don't know. What if they added like Zarudy? The grass mythical that's part of the movie is coming out later this year.
I mean, if it's part of the movie.
It's like a grass monkey.
I guess.
Or Urshifu, the Pokemon that just came out for the DLC.
I guess. I don't really... This is like for a character in Smash, right?
I don't know. What?
What are we talking about?
Just, yeah, that's a Pokemon rep. Potential Pokemon
Yeah,
rep.
in Smash.
Pokemon
Yeah,
rep.
I mean, those are both possibilities. I just don't really want one.
Yeah, I get you. Oh man, I had something and I completely slipped my mind. Damn it, it's the second time today. Oh man. No, there was something I wanted to say and I completely forgot. Oh right, Pokemon Snap. So, some people have brought like in my direct predictions, I didn't bring up Pokemon Snap at all. The reason I didn't bring up Pokemon Snap at all is because I do not think Pokemon Snap is going to be in the Nintendo Direct because I don't think it's coming out this year.
Oh, why not?
No. I don't think it's coming out this year because we had the Pokemon Presents like a few weeks ago. That was... So if you have a presentation in June and you reveal a game with a trailer in June of a particular year and you say that it's in development or under construction was the word they used and with no release date at all, I think that means the game is not coming out that year. I think if you have an announcement / reveal
Why
of the game
would
that
you
late
talk
into a
about
year,
it again just 1 month later, announcing the release date when you could have just announced it at the event?
It's one thing if the game hasn't been talked about yet this year and it's already a known quantity, like Breath of the Wild 2, for example, or Bayonetta 3. Like those games they could bring up. Because since they haven't announced it, since they announced them a while ago already, when they talk about them, then there's got to be a release date. But if they talk about them this late into the year and they don't give you a release date, I don't think it means it's coming out this year. I think it's that for sure probably next year, if not later. But Pokemon Snap, I think it's coming out next year.
If you didn't even confirm it for 2020 when you announced it in 2020, I don't think it's coming out the same year. Like even games that are announced early in the year, if they're coming out the same year, they say so.
Yeah.
They don't make you wait for the announce year if it's coming out the same year. They might make you wait for the exact date.
Right, they might say 2020 and then you have to sort of figure out when in 2020. Yeah,
Right.
so Pokemon Snap I just don't think it's coming out this year. Yeah.
And you don't even really do that this late in the year because it's either really soon or it's a holiday game and it's like 50-50. There's not as much option. There's no real reason to be secretive about it. You know?
Yep.
You might as well just say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
DJ Real, wait, did Andre say Homo sapiens? Yeah, I said Homo sapiens sapiens, which I think is the official name for us. It's the official scientific name.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about Neanderthals, another sentient race that we knew existed that went extinct a few thousand years ago. Like, the idea is, and I have no idea, if Neanderthals and Homo sapiens sapiens, us, can breed, wouldn't that be a similar equivalent to, like, say, for example, Zoras and Rito, or Hylians or Gerudos, you know what I mean? So, that was the comparison there. But,
Yo, Seahawks rule.
Yeah, on that very awkward
like this, different dog breeds can interbreed, but they aren't different species. That's more of different races. I think they are different races. Yeah. But
yeah, that's how I like to think of the characters in the races in Hyrule. Well, that's it. It's the races. That's what they would refer to them as, races. Actually, whenever you like play like an MMO or something, like they're like, pick your race. They don't tell you to pick your species, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
unless you're playing Spore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Question, do you think Next Level Games is developing Mario Strikers 3? Please let me hear your thoughts. That's Tigger.
Oh, hey, Tigger. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, wait, Next Level Games. I'm sorry. No. I thought you were... for some reason, I heard WayForward. No, it was like...
Oh.
Yeah, no, Next Level Games, maybe, actually. Next Level Games... What was the last thing they came up with?
Could do it.
Did they make, oh, yeah, they made Luigi's Mansion 3.
The world may never know.
I just don't feel like
How many
they'd
licks
be working on such a
take
small
to
project.
get to
They'd
Mario
be working on
Strikers
something
3?
bigger.
You think they'd be working on something bigger? They also made Metroid Prime Federation for it, so...
Oh,
That's true. They make a lot of different things.
that good one. They were busy.
So,
Yeah,
They could make it.
Next Level Games, Luigi's Mansion 3 is their most recent game. Before that was Metroid Prime Federation Force in 2016. Before that was Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon in 2013. Then before that was Captain America Soldier. They made a whole bunch of They made some Nintendo games, but there was other stuff as well, like Tom Clancy Transformers. Then they made Punch Out, which was good. That was a good game on the Wii.
Yeah.
And then of course they're responsible for the Strikers games. If we go
they
by
were the
what
ones who made the triggers, and I didn't actually know that.
they take 3 years to make games apparently, so the next game.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be this year because they just released.
No, I think we're gonna have to wait a little bit.
Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah. Unless they make more than one game at a time, which is possible. And I would say
Yeah.
that
Possible. I don't know. I feel like Luigi's Mansion 3 was like their biggest, highest budget game. So I don't think that they would have been
seems
working
like-
on 2 games at the same time with that game.
I think you're right.
So I feel like all their resources would have been on that, especially with how polished it is. Like, it's one of the best looking games on the Switch.
yeah.
It's one of the best games on the Switch, just period. It's great.
Yeah.
So, they're not used to making games that big, so
Whoa.
I feel like...
And the game's performed pretty well. Apparently it sold 6.33 million as of March 31st, 2020. That's a pretty good start for a game that came out last October. So that looks like something that'll hit 10 plus million for sure.
Which is insane
Yeah.
for Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I could see Next Level Games like just going in on another major development. Like maybe they could work on 2 different games at once. That's a possibility. You know, another team that I think would be a good fit for a Strikers game, the Mario Kart team. The Mario Kart / ARMS team. They're really good at making awesome like multiplayer Nintendo games. So
True.
I could see that. I think they might even do a better job
Really good point.
because they would probably have a more fleshed out online experience going there.
Yeah, they know how to do things, except for
Next Level Game
their
has
Nintendo
online,
online, so they kind of
experience.
also don't know how to do things.
Oh, I don't know. Federation Force is pretty bad.
What?
Federation Force is pretty bad.
I feel like
I
all
didn't play it.
Nintendo games online are
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Well, when I say bad,
I
I
don't-
don't mean like the concept. The concept was cool. It's just like the idea was
Yeah.
to play co-op with a friend, and I had played Kart to play co-op with a friend online, and the games would always cancel out. So we just did a regular
Oh.
game.
But they make good online content. It's just Nintendo doesn't
Yeah,
fund
yeah. It's just
servers,
their
so
like
it's not
service,
really
whatever.
on them.
Well, I guess Luigi's Mansion had a fair bit of like multiplayer stuff, right? So
yeah, I haven't played any of it. But
I didn't play. I just played the campaign.
Yeah,
So
that's what I did. I just mostly focused on the campaign. But they do have a lot of online stuff, and they added like DLC and different things.
I mean, I think they could totally pull off a Strikers game. I'm not saying they couldn't. I'm just saying that I think the Mario Kart team, which has been focused on multiplayer games recently, would do a great job too. And they've had like actual like competitive multiplayer games the last couple of years, or not the last half decade. So
yeah, long time.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Yep. But Strikers is my favorite Mario Sports title. So I want there to be another. I think we need another. Honestly, I feel like it's time for Nintendo to start dipping into some of their lesser used franchises, like your Mario Strikers, like your F-Zeros, like your Star Foxes, like your Donkey Kongs, like your Diddy Kong Racings, like your Wave Races. There's a lot of really good franchises that Nintendo hasn't used yet, and I just hope they start getting to them soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something that might make you upset at me, but I think I'd rather have a new Wave Race than a new F-Zero.
Well, that's because you don't know what you're talking about.
No, specifically just for the technical aspect, because I think
seeing that water would be crazy.
Simulation, yeah. It would be so much better than back in the
if
day.
I get a
It
Wave
looks
Race,
good.
I'm probably still gonna cry. Okay, I wouldn't cry. If I get a Wave Race, it will be close to my excitement for a new Pokemon Snap.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's fair.
but F-Zero's on a whole other level.
Such nostalgia.
F-Zero, you guys have to understand that F-Zero GX is like the best racing game ever.
Yeah.
It is so good. It's super intense and hard, but it's amazing. But anyways, guys, I think we're at the end here. Is there anything else you guys want to mention before we call it a night?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I think I'm about. Oh, well, one thing I wanted to mention was, did you have a raid target in mind? Did you want to do a raid?
Do you have anyone in mind?
I do.
Okay.
I do have someone queued up. Can I put their link in the chat?
Yeah,
it's
go for it.
Flopper. His name's Flopper. He's playing Dragon Quest 11 on the DS. Wait, what? Dragon Quest 11 on the DS. I thought
The
that
3DS version?
Oh no, Dragon Quest 6. I'm dumb. It's getting late. I'm freaking tired. So okay. Anyway, here's Flapper. What should our raid hashtag be?
Hashtag restart raid, or I don't know.
Restart raid.
No, hashtag give us a direct.
What?
Hashtag give us a direct raid. No. That would be kind of trolly. Just
You could do that.
yeah. Hashtag restart raid is fine. Yeah, guys. So did you put the link yet?
Yep, I did.
I didn't see. Well, maybe it's because I don't have it on.
It's not hyperlinking though, so that you can click on it. Do you mind copying and pasting that?
Yes.
Maybe it'll do it for you. Because I don't know, it's not hyperlinking.
What am I searching for? Because I don't have a link yet.
What'd you say? Flapper. Oh, it might have gotten like held for review, or like it might not have gone through.
Maybe, but I can't see it.
So
see it
his
either.
name is Flapper. Like
With
just
an-
like
Okay.
FLL.
Like
or,
a
sorry,
bird who
FLA
flaps its wings.
PR. I'll put it in the Discord chat. How about that?
Okay. Let me see the Discord chat.
So if anyone doesn't know what a raid is, it means we go over to someone else's channel, and we're gonna hashtag restart raid, and
There's a link, guys. I posted the link.
It's gonna hopefully make their night better. Hopefully, it will make Flopper's night better.
So let's go raid his link, his stream.
Raid his link. Heck yeah.
His link.
Gosh dang it.
Cool.
Typing.
Okay,
swear
I
and
don't
type.
see anyone over there yet, but I'm sure people will start.
Let's raid Flapper.
There we go. Yes, DJ Riolu, Almighty Savage Animator. Thank you guys for coming out on the raid. Thanks so much. Make sure you like the stream as well.
Yeah,
And
guys.
check me out at the yellowkazoo.live. It's my website.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, guys. Thanks
Thanks
for
so
coming
much
by.
for having me on tonight, Andres.
Yeah, it was
It was,
fun,
it
Kazoo.
was really fun to talk about Nintendo with all of you, with both of you.
For
And the
sure.
chat. Yes, all of you.
Absolutely. So, guys, check out Flapper. Make sure to check out Kazoo's channel. It is linked in the description below, as well as Brandon's channel. It is linked in the description below. And we'll see you soon. Hopefully, we get some pretty cool news this week.
Yeah.
I bet we will.
Yeah. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Sweet.
We out.